All right, more on this. We'll fold in these other, and the rest of the story is on Omar and Bananas and Rice Girl. That's at 5:38. Check the headlines now.
Good morning. It is 3 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. Prosecutors say a pregnant woman who was found dead in a burning home this week had been stabbed more than 70 times. 19-year-old Natus Revucas has been charged with killing 30-year-old Eliza Morales and her unborn child. Prosecutors say Morales and her husband were selling a vehicle to the suspect. Revucas told police that he stabbed Morales because he was unhappy with the condition of the truck. In addition to Morales, Revucas also stabbed the family's dog between the eyes and set the house on fire. The dog survived the attack and is being cared for by a local veterinarian. Revucas is due back in court today. Metro train commuters were delayed yesterday due to a track switching issue at Union Station. Officials say the switch failure caused delays of nearly an hour on some of the lines, which were already busy because of that evening commute. This report is a service of King's Hawaiian Sliders. Eli Manning reminds you there's nothing like football and King's Hawaiian Sliders. There's something about those soft, fluffy, irresistible King's Hawaiian Sliders that makes them a winner on game day. Pick them up this weekend in the bakery or deli section of your grocery store. King's Hawaiian, there's nothing like it.
On February 24th, President Trump will deliver his State of the Union address to Congress.
Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States.
And AM 560 The Answer is throwing a viewing party, and you're invited to join us for dinner at the Meridian Banquets and Conference Center in Rolling Meadows. Enjoy dinner before the speech, and then watch the speech with AM 560's Dan Proft, Sean Thompson, Jeannie Ives, Amy Jacobson, and John Anthony. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/party. Sponsored in part by Stephen A. Leahy with Opum Tax Advocates.
The following is a paid political announcement.
This is Kevin Coyne, Chairman of the DuPage County GOP. I am inviting you to our Lincoln Day dinner on Friday, February 27th at Abington Banquets in Glen Ellen. We will feature keynote speaker and national political commentator Tudor Dixon. Enjoy an evening of camaraderie, great food, and Republican unity. Sponsorship packages are available. Purchase tickets today at DuPageGOP.com. Paid for by DuPage County Republican Central Committee.
This is an important notice to all U.S. taxpayers. The IRS is giving away billions of dollars in tax savings through a federal program called the Fresh Start Initiative to aid delinquent taxpayers. This initiative was established for anyone facing financial hardship and unable to pay their back taxes. Qualifying and enrolling in this program will stop all collections, settle your delinquent tax problem, and even reduce what you owe by thousands of dollars. Call the hotline at People's Tax Relief to see if you qualify and get this free information by dialing 800-458-9469. If you have unfiled tax returns or cannot afford to pay your personal or business back taxes, you can now get the help you need. One simple phone call can resolve your tax problem and save you thousands of dollars. To see if you qualify and to get this important free information, call 800-458-9469. 800-458-9469. 800-458-9469.
You need to be tuning into the Retirement Success Blueprint with Michael Stewart, the radio companion to the Amazon best-selling book, Success Blueprint, How to Build the Retirement You Deserve. Each week, Michael shares strategies designed to help reduce market risk through income-generating investments that can provide steady returns. Because if you can avoid a big loss, you don't need to take big risks. Catch the Retirement Success Blueprint with Michael Stewart, Saturday mornings at 10, right here on AM 560 The Answer.
File with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They help you get your biggest refund, and then they help you do more with it. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today will be bitterly cold with a mix of clouds and sun reaching a high of 17. Tonight remains bitterly cold with clouds on the rise, possibly leading to a snow shower by dawn with a low of 4. Tomorrow, expect intervals of clouds and sun with a few snow showers, especially in heavier lake effect snow bands, as temperatures stay frigid with a high of 19. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Scott Tucker Solutions and his show Retirement Decoded. Sunday mornings at 8. Learn more at scotttuckersolutions.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. On February 24th, President Trump will deliver his State of the Union address to Congress, and AM 560 The Answer is throwing a viewing party. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/party.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft. Before we get to Brotherly Love Spice and Bananas and Rice Girl, just talking about the electoral impact of border security and the enforcement and removal operations. Text from 630. Nothing. 20 million came in and 15 million will stay. Wake up. Yeah, I know. I'm so naive about the world. Yeah, just so blissfully ignorant about how tough it is out there. So I asked the texter what should be done. Nothing can be done to deport that many people. That's why they let them in. Both parties want cheap labor. Yeah, okay. So what's the prescription then? We just all enjoy the ride down like Slim Pickens and Dr. Strangelove? Yahoo! And by the way, I'm pretty impressive. We got a Red Dawn and a Dr. Strangelove reference in the first couple segments of the show. We're off to a good start. Yeah, no, I don't think so. And also for the fatalists out there that sort of just provide the, it's a rigged game. The, big companies that want the cheap labor always win. Nothing we can do. I mean, I sort of belied by the election of Trump twice. But okay. 2030 apportionment forecast prepared by Egghead at Carnegie Mellon based on the Census Bureau population estimates last year. 2030 apportionment forecast. Illinois -2 seats. California -4. New York -2. Pennsylvania -1. Wisconsin -1. Minnesota -1. Texas +4. Florida +4. Georgia +1. Arizona +1. Nevada +1. Idaho +1. Frank Luntz, who can count like the rest of us, took this up, noted, so if that projection holds, 2030 census will net 8 to 9 electoral votes to traditionally red states away from blue states. That means Republican candidates for the next decade could win presidential elections without needing any of the Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania trifecta states. So it actually does matter. And the shift may be a lot more seismic than you think, even if you still have millions of people in this country illegally that should otherwise not be here, because they're here illegally. So, but before we do the thing that we like to do, so many conservatives, is to be prognosticators and be the properly jaundiced eye that says destruction is inexorable. Maybe look at the actual evidence and the possibilities and act in furtherance of bringing those possibilities into reality. Isn't that a more productive approach? I don't mean to belabor the point, but I go back to Whittaker Chambers often when I'm feeling fatalistic, which, over the years in Illinois has been quite often. And if you haven't read Witness, you must. But, right, Whittaker Chambers defected from being a Soviet Union apparatchik to being a spy for the United States against the Soviets, believing that he was on the wrong side of history. He thought that the Soviets would win the Cold War. He defected anyway, in part because, I think, connected to a conversion to Christianity. But you can read Witness. The point here is to say he did what he believed to be right and proper, even believing he was going to lose. And it turned out he was wrong. Some food for thought. 312-642-5600 is our Chicago Morning Answer call-in and text line. One other point on this before I move to Brotherly Love Spice. We mentioned last week that per the census survey, 282,000 people moved from Illinois to another state, 2024. 200,000 people moved to Illinois. God bless those poor souls. But the net loss was about 82,000 residents. Net loss of 82,000 residents. Funny. Jelly Belly looked at the same data and put out a press release that said Illinois gained residents for the third straight year. Illinois, for the third straight year, from July of 24 to July of 25, added 16,000 residents. That's an increase of more than 100,000 residents since 2022. So one survey has Illinois losing population, as it has for the last decade and a half. And yet Jelly Belly continues to put out these press releases saying Illinois is growing. And it is ironic that we're growing, but we lost a congressional seat. Probably should have lost two. And so what's the rub there? Who's telling the truth? Well, they both are. It's just Jelly Belly's not telling the whole truth. The data he's relying counts illegals. The data he's relying on counts illegals. People residing in Illinois here illegally. I mentioned before, Pew Research puts the undocumented population in Illinois at north of 500,000. So there's the delta. We lose 82,000. No, we gain 16,000. Right. One is not counting people residing in this country, residing in Illinois in this country illegally, and the other is. And that's the sleight of hand that your governor is affecting to jimmy the numbers. Just so you know. But tell me that doesn't speak to the mind's eye, as if you needed another evidentiary exhibit. So there it is. Okay, let's turn to Brotherly Love Spice, as well as Bananas and Rice Girl, because that was another celebrated story. Turned out to be quite apocryphal, the Bananas and Rice. First, with respect to Brotherly Love Spice, it's interesting. This guy, this 55-year-old dude, who was arrested after he got up during a presser that Omar was having, where she was doing her normal thing, abolish ICE, articles of impeachment against Kristi Noem. And when the articles of impeachment were mentioned, this guy stands up, walks toward the podium, got a syringe, sprays something in the direction of Ilhan Omar, and then is tackled by security, arrested. She gathers herself and then continues on with her ranting against the Trump administration, America, the rule of law, the usual stuff. Well, the picture of this guy is getting murkier. I don't know. I wouldn't say it's coming into focus, although some might. I mean, I've seen the videos suggesting that she gave like a little wink and a nod to him before he stood up, and that so this is all of the Jussie Smollett variety here. This was a hoax, possibly. The apparent substance she was hit with was apple cider vinegar. I guess. I mean, that's what's being reported. And as some people have said, now, this Liz Collin actually was saying that. Hazmat team confirmed that it was apple cider vinegar that was sprayed on her. And then a neighbor tells the New York Post that this guy who was arrested for having committed this assault was medicated from a previous accident, and that he sent this neighbor, Brian Kelly is his name, a note asking him if he could watch his dog while he went to the Omar event. Quoting Brian Kelly, this guy's neighbor, he said, "I'm going to this Omar thing." I'm like, "Omar what?" He said, "The town hall thing. And I might get arrested," he told his neighbor. His neighbor went on to say, "I figured it was nonsense. He wasn't going to do anything stupid. I said, sure, I'll walk her, the dog. But then by the next day, don't worry about it. I've got it covered." I figured he blew that off. According to Kelly, Kazmierczyk, this is the guy, was heavily medicated from a car crash where he injured his spine years ago. Kelly also said he's also been diagnosed with Parkinson's and he's only 55 years old. So, those messages, there's also suggestions that maybe one of his ex-wives, I told you yesterday that maybe she just reminded him of one of his ex-wives, that one of his ex-wives is a big Omar supporter. Maybe. I guess the ex-wife's name is Patrice, and the assertion that's being bandied about is that she's a supporter of Omar and AOC. I don't know that that's dispositive of anything, but it certainly prompts more questions about whether or not we should accept what occurred at face value. I think there are questions about that. All right, let me get to bananas and rice, too. You know who I'm talking about, right? This is a Somali woman who asserted that she was kidnapped by ICE, that she was put in leg irons, that she was physically assaulted, hurt by ICE. And then she went off on this description of being Somali that got picked up and went viral because it was sort of bizarre, frankly. Here was how she came into public attention. The allegations she made after she was allegedly kidnapped and leg ironed and hurt and then released so that she could do a press conference alleging all of these things.
I'm 23 years old from St. Paul, and I encountered ICE. I was detained, or let me rephrase it as I was kidnapped by ICE. I was kidnapped from ICE from my home. They came here, right there where I'm pointing at, and they came here, were following two men. And while they were following two men, they came and stopped at this exact area near the office. Crying together, we were holding each other tight. And I'll never forget, the fear that we both felt in our hearts that day. They were following these two men, and I was waiting for these two men to hold the door for me. And I told them, hey, can you hold the door for me? And I walked right in the middle. And when I was in the middle, ICE came, they came out of their cars, they asked me to see my ID, and while they were asking me to see the ID, they just decided it was nice to be racist and say really nasty things to me. And that man, he called me the N-word, and he called me that, and then they arrested me. It was multiple people. They used a lot of force to arrest me. I actually got a scab that was healing while I was in jail, but they pushed me hard. They used a lot of violence. My body still hurts. I got a concussion. It's really hard for me to speak.
Well, and now for the rest of the story. There is video of this arrest in which she claimed to have been kidnapped and brutalized by ICE. First of all, she failed to mention in her performance there that she spit at the officers, which is an assault. She claimed she was thrown down. That's not in the video. She claimed she was put in leg irons. That's not in the video. In fact, she was put in cuffs and escorted to the vehicle. She was walking. Difficult to do so in leg irons, but it's pretty clear, no leg irons. And she was put in the vehicle. I didn't see any violence I saw her spit and the reaction be, okay, we're taking you into custody now because you've just assaulted an officer. She also previously said she was taken from her home. Then she was allegedly taken from in front of a pharmacy. The video has her in front of what appears to be an apartment complex in the parking lot. And now, oh, by the way, she is one of the individuals who was announced, who Pam Bondi announced yesterday, that has been arrested. So now we have the mugshot of Nasra Ahmed, Bananas and Rice Girl. She is one of those who was arrested in a sweep by Pam Bondi and the Department of Justice for, quote, assaulting, resisting, or impeding certain officers and employees. One of more than a dozen names. She's on the list. And in case you forgot, or you haven't forgot, but you'd like to hear it again, well, I'm here to oblige. Bananas and rice. That's what it's like to be Somali.
And I am proud. I am proud to say that I've survived ICE. I'm proud to say that I stood up for what is right. And many people are saying, including my family and friends, that I will go down in history. And I will carry this on my shoulders. Here I am, speaking in front of everyone, and there's cameras recording me. Hi, everyone who's watching me right now.
She's very much enjoying this, aren't you?
I'm proud to be Somali. To me, being Somali isn't just eating bananas with rice. It's a lot. It's like it's an interesting thing. It's very hard to describe what it means to be Somali and what it means to be American, but it's like a cultural fusion. It's kind of like the bananas and rice. You know, people don't really see, like, you know, it's you know, people don't think, oh, you can eat bananas with rice, but that's what it's like to be Somali and American. It's like that combination of banana and rice, but you're gonna get what I mean. So what I'm trying to say is,
it isn't.
People might be confused by me being Somali, but then when they hear my voice, they say, this girl is very American. There's something American about her. So like my family says, you're so American. You're so American. There's something American about you. But then when other people see me, they're like, there's something Somali about you. You're really Somali, you know? So that's what it's like. You know, people always trying to assume what you are, but they know you're both. So they cannot separate the two. They just want to say, oh, you're this, you're that. But that's what it is. It's to be both. So, yeah, so I got kidnapped by ICE.
Boy, she was really enjoying your start to it. Okay, now, and let's get into character. But anyway, it's like bananas and rice, and some people say this about me, and other people say, oh, by the way, I got kidnapped by ICE, as I was saying, so let me tell you that yarn. Spin that yarn for you. Boy, she went from happy-go-lucky and enjoying the cameras. Look at me. I'm going to be remembered to, okay. Let me tell you about my traumatization at the hands of ICE. Oh, that's good stuff. That's real good stuff right there. And so good and so difficult to parody that only the South Park boys could do it, and they did. And we'll have that in the 6 o'clock hour because it's just too enjoyable. I mean, I could listen to Nasra Ahmed tell tales all day long. Coming up at 6:06, yes, we'll fold South Park in. We'll also hear from outgoing Governor Tim Walz. It's now 6 o'clock, AM 560 WIND.
Trump won big. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The president just wrote that on Truth Social in all caps and then added crooked election, continuing to claim fraud cost him in 2020. His post the morning after the FBI carried out a raid in Georgia.
The search warrant authorized agents to seize ballots, voting machine records, and 2020 voter rolls in Fulton County. It was signed by a federal judge in Atlanta. The prosecutors listed as an interim U.S. attorney in Missouri. President Trump has always said that election was rigged against him in Georgia. And Georgia Senate Democrat John Ossoff says in a statement, I suspect today's raid is a continuation of this sore loser's crusade, despite repeated audits and independent reviews confirming that Donald Trump was indeed defeated.
That's Fox's Chris Foster. Borders Czar Tom Homan will talk to reporters next hour in Minnesota after talks with Democratic leaders in the state when Homan was put in charge of immigration enforcement. Following Saturday's deadly shooting of a protester that now has 2 agents on leave, there is new video of Alex Preddy clashing with agents a week before.
Preddy apparently spits at an official ICE vehicle, kicks and busts a taillight before being tackled to the ground. An organization called the News Movement says it shot this video as part of a documentary. News Movement reports Preddy's gun is visible on him in this incident. An attorney for the family writes, a week before Alex was gunned down in the street, despite posing no threat to anyone, he was violently assaulted by a group of ICE agents. Nothing that happened a full week before could possibly have justified Alex's killing at the hands of ICE on January 24th.
That's Fox's Matt Finn in Minneapolis. New Fox News poll. Nearly 6 in 10 believe ICE has been too aggressive. Almost a week after that massive storm hit New England, down to New Mexico, cleanup continues. There are still 100,000 power outages in Tennessee, about the same in Mississippi, where many homes and businesses don't have heat or water. And there is the forecast for another storm potentially to hit the Carolinas and East Coast this weekend. America's listening to Fox News.
WIND, Chicago.
Good morning. It is 3 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. A proposed Illinois bill, the Let the People Lift the Ban Act, would let local voters approve rent control, drawing sharp debate between tenant advocates and landlords over its potential impact on housing and the economy. Katrina Barker has the story.
Supporters of the bill say it empowers municipalities to protect tenants from soaring rents and gives residents a voice in shaping housing policy. Critics, including State Senator Andrew Chesney, argue that rent control discourages investment in rental properties and may ultimately worsen housing affordability.
You can't have government entering into the private industry and telling somebody what they can charge.
Chesney, who opposes the bill, cited examples from cities such as New York and San Francisco where rent stabilization policies have, in his view, led to higher costs and strained housing markets.
These landlords will take the maximum allowed each and every year by state law.
I'm Katrina Barker.
Arlington Heights police are investigating after vandalism was reported at the Republicans of Wheeling Township headquarters. Video images show 2 alleged offenders outside the GOP offices on Sunday night with graffiti scrawled on the windows. Those images also showed profanities written over a poster of late Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk, who was born in Arlington Heights and attended Wheeling High School. And Metro train commuters were delayed yesterday due to a track switching issue at Union Station. Officials say that switch failure caused delays of nearly an hour on some lines which were already busy because of the evening commute. This report is a service of the AM 560 mobile app. Listen to AM 560 on your smartphone or mobile device when you download the AM 560 mobile app at 560theanswer.com/mobile. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
I'm Jeannie Ives. And I'm Amy Jacobson. Join us for The Real Story beginning Monday, February 2nd from 11 to noon, Monday through Friday. We'll bring you the real information from Springfield, Chicago, and beyond. We'll expose the lies and misinformation from the politicians and the media. Listen to us on the station or online at 560theanswer.com. You can watch us live on Breakthrough Ideas Facebook page or Breakthrough Ideas YouTube channel. The Real Story begins on Monday, February 2nd at 11 a.m.
Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage.
If you're over 65 and struggling with knee pain, Joint Relief Institute offers a guaranteed way to treat it. It's non-surgical and often covered by Medicare and private insurance. It's JRI's Joint Arthritis Treatment, knee lubrication placement that's so accurate it's 100% guaranteed and can relieve your knee and shoulder pain in 10 minutes or less. Book your risk-free consultation today and get back to walking, golfing, pickleball to cycling without pain or medication. Call 708-315-6800. Meet the provider, get an x-ray and joint consultation. Why wait? JRI has treated over 30,000 Chicagoans and performed over 400,000 procedures. You could be next. Over 5,000 five-star Google reviews can't be wrong.
Stop living in pain. Call the Joint Relief Institute today, 708-315-6800, or visit jointreliefinstitute.com. Locations in Glenview, Oak Brook, and Orland Park. That's 708-315-6800 for the Joint Relief Institute. Medicare and most private insurance plans accepted.
Let me share Brian's story. He's in Alabama, and he wrote in, he said, Glenn, after taking Relief Factor for just 3 weeks, at least 90% of my pain is gone. My pain had started to limit me at work and at home, and I am amazed at the relief that I have gotten. Those are Brian's own words, and they speak volumes about what Relief Factor can do. And I've seen that kind of transformation in myself, and hearing Brian's experience reinforces why I take endorsing Relief Factor so seriously. Before I started taking Relief Factor myself, I was losing hope that I could ever have a normal life again. My hands were in so much pain. It's created by doctors, a 100% drug-free product using 4 key ingredients. It supports the body's natural inflammatory response. Hundreds of thousands of people have ordered Relief Factor, and like Brian and me, over 2/3 of these people go on to order more month after month. So don't wait. If you're dealing with pain, launch your 3-week quick start and see what Relief Factor can do for you. Call 800-4RELIEF or go to relieffactor.com. Don't wait anymore. Feel what it's like to be out of pain. 1-800-4RELIEF.
Are you 65 or older and dealing with chronic knee or shoulder pain? You're not alone. At the Joint Relief Institute, we've helped thousands find real relief without surgery. Our non-surgical, FDA-approved treatment uses hyaluronic gel that acts like a cushion between the bones in your knee. As we age, the cushion naturally wears down, causing painful grinding and popping. But our gel restores that cushion, allowing your knee to move smoothly again. Ready to stop the pain and get back to doing what you love? Call the Joint Relief Institute at 708-315-6800. Again, that's 708-315-6800.
Move better and live better with JRI. Contact the Joint Relief Institute today and get back to doing what you love. Call 708-315-6800 or visit jointreliefinstitute.com. Locations in Glenview, Oak Brook, and Orland Park. Call 708-315-6800. Medicare and most private insurance plans accepted. Reclaim your mobility with the Joint Relief Institute.
At AlmostFreeTeeth.com, they're dedicated to making smiles great again. If you have medical PPO insurance, find out how you could save 90% off on average to get a beautiful dental implant-supported smile. Check if you qualify right now at AlmostFreeTeeth.com.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hackberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. Already stop and go northbound on Lakeshore Drive between Bryn Mawr Avenue and Hollywood Avenue. The Eden looks great in both directions, 14 minutes from Lake Cook to Montrose, just 8 minutes both ways on the Kennedy from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange. The Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 14 minutes. A little bit sluggish outbound at 16 minutes. You are stop and go between Austin Boulevard and Oak Park Avenue. The Stevenson from Veterans Memorial to Lakeshore is 26 minutes, outbound is 22. The Dan Ryan from 95th to the Byrne Interchange, inbound is 14, outbound is 11. A little bit sluggish on the inbound Bishop Ford as you head towards the Dan Ryan. This report is a service of the AM 560 Advantage. Membership has its privileges, including early access to event tickets, exclusive contest opportunities, and special members-only content. Join today at 560theanswer.com/join. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now the latest forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be bitterly cold with a mix of clouds and sun, reaching a high of 17. Tonight remains bitterly cold with clouds on the rise, possibly leading to a snow shower by dawn with a low of 4. Tomorrow, expect intervals of clouds and sun with a few snow showers, especially in heavier lake effect snow bands, as temperatures stay frigid with a high of 19. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment brought to you by Unleash Your Wealth with Raj Shah and Rick Borick this Saturday at 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. Learn more at scwealthadvisors.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. The martyrization of Renee Good and Alex Preddy is at a fever pitch right now, but as I suggested last hour, it will subside. they'll have their 15 minutes of infamy within the neo-Marxist ranks, but they're useful idiots, even in death, unfortunately. That's what they chose. They're just a means to very temporary political ends. And so, like the cause celebs of a bygone era when we were dealing with the left's emphasis on defunding local police, and we were supposed to forever remember the great impact on our world that Laquan McDonald or George Floyd had, that all went by the wayside. And so will this. And so will these individuals. And the more information that comes out as video of the January 13th incident between Alex Preddy and ICE, the less compelling the story about him being this, Gandhi-esque ICU nurse who was just there to observe and report, the less compelling that becomes to the larger, quote unquote, silent majority that stays out of the fray but is paying attention. But again, it's not done yet. I know. I understand. And no less than the boss, Bruce Springsteen, who these days bears a uncanny resemblance to Ellen DeGeneres. I hate to break it to you. He has penned a little ditty, "The Streets of Minneapolis." He's sort of riffing off himself. It feels a little bit like the streets of Philadelphia. But anyway, here's a little taste of Bruce Springsteen's tribute to Preddy and Good and all of the street rabble on display in what was formerly Minneapolis.
Through the winter's ice and cold, down Nicollet Avenue, a city of flame fought fire and ice neath an occupier's boots. King Trump's private army from the DHS, guns belted to their coats, came to Minneapolis to enforce the law, or so their story goes. Against smoke and rubber bullets in the dawn's early light, citizens stood for justice, their voices ringing through the night. And there were bloody footprints where mercy should have stood, and 2 dead left to die on snow-filled streets, Alex Preddy and Renee Good. Oh, Minneapolis, I hear your voice singing through the bloody mist. We'll take our stand for this land and the stranger in our midst. Here in our home they killed and roamed in the winter of 26. We'll remember the names of those who died on the streets of Minneapolis.
There it is. All right. How about that? I'll tell you, something I never thought I would say. Not that I was ever a big Bruce Springsteen fan. Just not really a fan of his music. Glory Days. Stranger in Disguise. I'll give you those. But I'm saying it. You know, I prefer Nicki Minaj these days. Oh, that's not Nicki Minaj, but I still prefer Nicki Minaj with the Don Lemon song. But I prefer a new generation of artists as well, like this one.
In Mogadishu, Minnesota, you might have heard there's quite a load of money missing, new millionaires, all the kids are leering in fake daycares. The Somali waltz, the Somali waltz,
Yeah, that's Natasha Owens. I think that's her name. But very good. Very good. I was thinking Nicki Minaj, of course, because not just because of her Don Lemon tribute song of sorts, but because she was with Trump yesterday at the big announcement of the Trump accounts.
Hello, guys. I'm with my favorite president, the best president of all time.
And I'm with the queen of rap.
Great, fine. Please don't do a duet of WAP. Or WAP, however you. Please, Mr. President. To text from 207, give Springsteen song a 2, can't dance to it. No, it's a tough, not really a dance song. The Somali Waltz or Walls? Yeah, well, it's a little bit of a double entendre, isn't it there? 847. Text from 815, why? Question mark. Because I can. George in Naperville.
Yeah, Dan, after hearing you play Springsteen, I shouted out, who killed the Kennedys? After all, it was you and me.
Okay, Mick. Thanks for the call, George. Well, since we're, folding in pop culture in this conversation about public policy, immigration, law enforcement, I feel compelled to go back to Bananas and Rice Girl. I mean, just a little bit of a reset with Nasra Ahmed, the woman who was allegedly brutalized by ICE through no fault of her own, put in leg irons, concussed, traumatized, so forth. And then videos come out, as we discussed last hour, that suggests, well, it doesn't suggest, it displays that none of what she alleges actually occurred. And she forgot to mention she spit on a federal law enforcement officer, and that's what precipitated her being put into cuffs. She was arrested yesterday, along with more than a dozen others, by federal law enforcement for charges ranging from impeding to assaulting police officers in Minnesota. So now she's been booked and posterized, which apparently is what she wanted based on how much she was enjoying the limelight, however briefly. Anyway, Bananas and Rice, plus the Leering Center and all the fraud in Minnesota, and the responses that you get trying to explain it away, you knew Parker and Stone over at South Park couldn't resist for long, and they resist no longer.
I was basically raised on bananas and rice, in a Somali daycare, which was very formative, and people don't get that that's like culture and nutrition. So when I speak from...
In light of recent conversations, we are proposing a pilot program to transition public school lunches to bananas and rice.
Huh? Wait, what?
This is about inclusion. This is about listening, and frankly, the people are demanding like bananas and rice.
Excited to announce new products, bananas and rice, available at select Walmarts nationwide.
Are these
all empty? Every single one.
No way. This can't be real.
Bananas and rice, gone.
Guys, you're seeing this like there's nothing, just cardboard.
Look, this internet guy is simply wrong. We have strict oversight. They looked in the boxes before they were filled, and I can assure you, so clearly, nothing happened.
So the bananas and the rice, they were stolen. We don't know by who. We don't know when. They're just gone.
Hey, why you stand there looking? We're busy, okay? We have bananas, we have rice, you don't know what we are doing.
Yes, go mind your own business.
We unload, we load, finish, that's all.
Why you keep staring? You think it's funny? We have bananas, we have rice.
I am isn't just bananas and rice. People think it's simple, but it's deeper than that. It's culture, it's history, it's identity, and yes, it's like bananas with rice.
Yeah, I mean, the riffing... I mean, it's all very good, but the riffing about the bananas and rice, the empty cartons of bananas and rice being stolen, you remember that famous daycare center that when asked for paperwork documenting like child enrollment, perhaps a bank ledger, so on and so forth, they had just gotten robbed. some dastardly fella or fellas robbed this Somali daycare center and took only the paperwork that they needed to present to the state to substantiate their business.
Yesterday morning, I was called by the owner because, unfortunately, someone came in to our daycare. We looked and saw what happened, and we saw that the suspect came in from the back, broke in from the back kitchen, and he also destroyed the wall to come in. As we walked around the daycare, we saw that our office doors was broken into as well. We saw that, unfortunately, there was important documentation, enrollment of the children, and also employee documentation that was gone. There were also checkbooks that were ripped.
Oh no!
Our check papers that were ripped from our book.
Say it ain't so!
This is devastating news.
Devastating!
And we don't know why this is targeting our...
Oh, they've been targeted. They've been targeted by those bands of thieves that go around stealing businesses' corporate paperwork, their compliance paperwork for the state. Why are we being persecuted? I'm sorry, so we can't comply because, the thieves and the paperwork just got stolen. I mean, even South Park has a difficult time parroting that, but they did a pretty good job. Lewis, South Side.
Good morning, Dan. Okay, you were saying something about movie themes. Okay.
Movie things, yeah.
Okay. In Tombstone, at the end, Wyatt Earp says, "Let's finish this," and Doc Holliday says, "Yes, indeed, sir." Okay, where it refers to right now, I'm hearing an echo, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
where it refers to right now is that when Pritzker's talking about 16,000, he's talking about birthright citizenship from the immigrants that's here. Also, immigration. Donald Trump is talking about sanctuary cities, the policies that sanctuary cities are developing, to combat ICE, and then also Donald Trump is talking about ending this thing about the stolen election of 2020, and so So what the theme is right now is, let's finish this.
Thanks for the call, Lewis. I'll be your Huckleberry. I appreciate it. Very good. Roger, DeKalb.
Hey, yeah, Dan. Did you hear that Bruce Springsteen song? It's all about the murdered women, the raped and sodomized children, the angel moms, all the people who were brutalized, robbed by all these lovely immigrants. Of course, you haven't heard that song. I can't stand Bruce Springsteen. Like you say, he's written a couple of good songs. I've hated him before he was political, so it's not nothing to do with his politics originally. But nowadays, it's like, where do these people get their opinions? Don't they ever look and question anything? They just believe what ABC tells them. It's amazing to me.
Thanks for the call, Roger. Appreciate it. Well, I mean, one more to add to the show. The mayor of St. Paul is a Somali woman named Nadia Mohammed. She did a little impromptu policy proposal in her car with mom in tow. You know what's coming. I mean, it really is very much COVID redux in so many ways. It's a combination of COVID and defund the police, BLM redux here. Nadia Mohammed, her mom is afraid to come out of her home, as are many brown and black people, because you have ICE, CBP, the Gestapo, that are randomly looking for black and brown people to traumatize, to disappear. These are Trump's, personal death squads. And so they're afraid. Gosh, what would instill fear in these individuals? Perhaps that demagoguery. We need Nazi hunters like Larry Krasner and Charlemagne the God, for that matter. Well, so because of this fear that has gripped what was formerly Minneapolis, St. Paul, I guess I need to fold in St. Paul now. Oh, she's the mayor of St. Louis Park. Not yeah, right. I said that, suburb of Minneapolis. The fear that's gripped, I was talking about. A fear that has not gripped a community since a elementary school PE teacher in West Chicago posted "Go Ice" on social media. That's the kind of fear I'm talking about. Really based. So she has a proposal, in the interest of social justice.
This is how bad things are getting here in Minnesota. Meet my mom. Say hi, Hoyo. Hi. So here's the thing, like many Minnesotans, my mom does not want to leave her house out of fear of what's to happen if she does leave. I could literally glue her passport to her forehead and she still will not go. Unless I am taking her from point A to point B, she is not going. And that is so similar to a lot of Minnesotans, whether they're documented or not, who are too afraid to leave their house. And because they're too afraid, they're not able to go to work, meaning as the first of the month is coming up, they don't have rent money, right? So my mom has the privilege not to worry about that because her kids will take care of that. And a lot of neighbors do not have that same privilege to be able to do that or to say that. So I'm asking you guys to step up for your neighbors. We should all be asking for an eviction moratorium, which puts a stop to eviction, the legal process of evictions. Also look to see if your city does a 30-day pre-eviction notice, which means that landlords have to give you 30 days notice before they start the eviction process, right? And then last but not least, look to your local organizations to see who does rental assistance and then consider donating to them. If you live in St. Louis Park, consider donating to STEP. They do a wonderful job in rental assistance, in doing rental assistance. So please look out for each other and take care of each other.
Eviction moratorium, because people are afraid, so they can't work, so they don't have rent. Just like it's unsafe to send your kids to that elementary school in West Chicago. So you can't mark them absent. You can't mark them off for that because they're afraid. Because a PE teacher posted "Go Ice" on social media. Traumatized. They're shells of their former selves. Well, here's an idea. Why don't you just have all those for Mayor Mohammed there? Why don't you just you and anybody else who's so riddled with fear open a daycare center or a home health care business. And I mean, ostensibly people come to you, the government just sends checks, but they don't even have to come to you. You just dummy up some paperwork about people coming to you, children being enrolled, and leave it lying around for those paperwork thieves to come by. Tim, near West Side, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hi, Dan. How you doing, buddy? Big fan of yours. Listen, this morning, get to work early. I'm a big fan of Pluto TV. The movie was I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker.
Classic.
And the two classic, they had to go in and talk to Mr. Big, the white guy. Dan, that Omar and that other stoop, they took the script from that movie and put it on their... Oh, my God, Dan, hilarious. You get a chance, anybody watch that movie, you're going to pee in your pants. They took the script verbatim, Dan.
Thanks for the call, Tim. I'm going to get you, sucker, the Wayans brothers. I mean, Keenan Wayans, Keenan Ivory Wayans and Damon Wayans. Brilliant. It's a satire. If you aren't familiar with it, you should be ashamed of yourself. But get familiar with it. Check it out. It's a spoof of a black exploitation film. It is just one after the other. It is, like the great Zucker Brothers spoof films, Airplane, Top Secret. It's right up there. It's so good. And Chris Rock, I mean, one of the best scenes is very young Chris Rock going to a rib joint run by Isaac Hayes and Jim Brown. If you haven't seen that, just even watch that scene. It's so good. All right. Boy, let's see, we got Springsteen, we got the Stones, we got Dr. Strangelove, Tombstone, Red Dawn, and now I'm going to get you, sucker. That's a lot of pop culture references in a short amount of time today. We're all doing a wonderful job. Thanks for tuning in. Coming up at 6:36, we'll turn our attention. Let's take a little bit of a breath from all things immigration policy related. Let's talk about national security from a different angle. Rubio testifying before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee on Venezuela, and some important exchanges, an intelligent exchange between him and Rand Paul, and a less intelligent exchange between him and Tammy Duckworth. That's at 6:36. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It is 5 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. 2 women escaped serious injury after being grazed by gunfire on Wednesday. Police say a 71-year-old woman received a wound to her neck while a 39-year-old woman received an injury to her leg. The 71-year-old was transported to the hospital while the 39-year-old declined treatment. If you use the SWS, HCD, or BNSF Metro service, you might want to give yourself some extra time today. Metro officials say Amtrak switch and signal issues are causing delays up to a half hour on those lines. The latest updates on those delays can be found online at metro.com. And the Illinois American Water Company has filed a request with the Illinois Commerce Commission to raise their rates next year. The company says the typical residential water customer would see an increase of about $14 a month, and the typical customer served by sanitary wastewater systems would see an increase of about $28 a month. The Citizens Utility Board has promised to challenge that request. This news report is the service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Big savings on full mouth dental implants are here at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Medical insurance can make what used to cost a fortune surprisingly affordable. Don't wait. Take the 60-second quiz to see if you qualify at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Larry Elder explains a huge difference.
There's no love of people with whom you disagree. There's no compassion. There's hatred. Christians don't think that way. This is not what Jesus taught. But these are who these people are, which is why so much of the country is invested in their hatred of Donald Trump. All we can do is pray for them.
The Larry Elder Show. Weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
This news alert is brought to you by Secure Controls Incorporated. With no signs of retail theft slowing down, organized retail crime now impacts the overall economy with losses trending toward over $150 billion by 2026. It's important now more than ever to send a message to thieves. If you're a VP or Director of Loss Prevention or Asset Protection, you already are aware of these alarming statistics. How can you protect your inventory and get back to rising profitability? It only takes one click to secure.com. That's SE-KURE.com. With active anti-theft security solutions and products from Secure Controls, you're assured state-of-the-art protection of your merchandise. Secure will keep thieves second-guessing and provide peace of mind to your employees. Check out our products manufactured in the USA. From electronic sensors and alarms to mechanical and clothing security to customized solutions. We're the original inventors of anti-shoplifting products. Request our product catalog today at secure.com, SE-KURE.com, or call 800-250-9265.
Don't get stuck with a cold shower this winter. Give CenterGuard Plumbing a call. Get a new 40-gallon water heater installed for just $1,195 for standard installation, or a 50-gallon heater for $1,295 standard installation. A proud new sponsor of AM 560, CenterGuard is offering specials on new water heaters. Old man winter is here. Don't get stuck in the cold, and the same can happen to your water heater. If you're having hot water issues or your water heater's over 8 years old, take advantage of this winter special today. CenterGuard Plumbing is Chicagoland's same-day water heater experts. Call before noon and they can schedule your repair or install the same day on in-stock water heaters. They'll even haul away your old one, no charge. You're only a text away from install today. Call 847-406-8883. Mention AM 560 to receive winter special pricing. That's 847-406-8883. Call or text 847-406-8883 or visit CenterGuardPlumbing.com.
Listen carefully. This isn't noise. It's not hype. Silver is moving. And when silver moves, it moves quickly and without warning. Smart investors already know this. Most people don't until it's too late. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000 to get your free gold and silver rollover kit, a $49 value just for calling. History is clear. When the gold to silver ratio tightens, silver doesn't creep higher, it explodes, often outperforming gold by multiples. Right now, most Americans remain dramatically underallocated to precious metals, even as central banks around the world are aggressively increasing their gold reserves. History shows precious metals have performed best when interest rates move lower while inflation stays days above target. You don't need perfect timing. You need to be in position before the move finishes. Call 800-900-8000 now. Find out about a tax and penalty-free rollover in 2026. Consult your financial advisor before investing. Call 800-900-8000 now. That's 800-900-8000.
Temperatures are cooling, but not concerns about inflation, market volatility, and taxes. Revisit your financial plan this winter. VestGen Wealth Partners work with individuals to develop personalized plans that help navigate changing conditions with confidence. Visit GetRetiredStayRetired.com to learn more.
Advisory services offered through VestGen Advisors, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Securities offered through Private Client Services, LLC, member FINRA and SIPC. Private Client Services and VestGen Advisors, LLC are unaffiliated entities. Any information discussed does not constitute investment advice. VestGen Advisors and Private Client Services do not offer tax legal advice.
Start the new year off on a healthier note by taking Active Liver Supplements from New Nordic every day. Available online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com or at your local CVS, ShopRite, Meijer Grocery, or Wegmans.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. In great shape on the Edens, both ways from Lake Cook to Montrose, just 15 minutes. Only 8 minutes inbound and outbound on the Kennedy from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange. You've got about 15 minutes all around on the Eisenhower from Wolf to the Old Post Office. The Stevenson from Veterans Memorial to Lakeshore, 26 minutes inbound. Outbound is 21. You also want to watch out for a stall on the outbound ramp for Pulaski Road. The Dan Ryan from 95th to the Byrne Interchange is 15 minutes. Outbound is 11. A little bit slow in the express lanes. Just a slight brake check inbound between Pershing Road and the Stevenson. This report is sponsored by Supershore. Do you own a small business? You need to hear this. A seismic shift is coming. It's time to get Supershore. Not kind of short, not pretty short, not a little short, but Supershore. The seismic shift is coming. Supershore coming soon. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Now the latest forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be bitterly cold with a mix of clouds and sun reaching a high of 17. Tonight remains bitterly cold with clouds increasing and a chance of a snow shower by dawn with a low of 4. Tomorrow expect a mix of sun and clouds with a few snow showers, especially in heavier lake effect snow bands. It'll be frigid with a high of 19. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. On February 24th, President Trump will deliver his State of the Union address to Congress, and AM 560 The Answer is throwing a viewing party. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/party.
Top of the morning, Dan Propp. Before we get to matters that are a little bit more heady, sober, I did get an instant request. Somebody has not heard the Nicki Minaj, Don Lemon rap that I was referring to, and so we will fulfill that instant request since it is, a cultural imperative.
Yeah. Order in the court, please. Miss Judge on the mic. Bring the choir in. Ay, Don Lemon in the back row. Fake fur, tight pants, and a weak glow. Trying to preach, but he reading from a talk show. Facts all wobbly, stunting for the B-roll. Oh, you ain't Peter, you ain't Paul. Those are just the guys you cracked at the mall. Right before you pulled up at a church hall. Don't blame the Christians and act appalled. Sunday service, families made prayer. Here you come, put my mic on air. Turn the pulpit to a press event. Now the bailiff taking evidence. Don Lemon, why you so bitter? Crying like a little bitch on Twitter. Unwatchable like Jennifer Welch. Gonna have to start a new show from a cell.
Again, like that Natasha Owens piece, the Somali Waltz, it's not suggesting it's Beethoven, just fun, and the lyrics are fun, and I can dance to it. Both. Okay. All right, let's elevate the discussion, shall we? Talk of matters of war and peace and who has the authority to declare one over the other. This was in part the discussion that Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, among other hats, had before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee yesterday. And The exchange between Rubio and Rand Paul is a good one. Not that I'm on the side of Rand Paul here, though, but it's an important substantive discussion to have, and so I'm glad Rand Paul had it. And both gentlemen were very respectful of one another. Of course, each knows where the other is coming from, but it was just nice to see a difference of opinion litigated on the merits in a substantive way. And here are the hypotheticals that that Rand Paul went through with Rubio.
I am saying that in 3.5, almost 4 weeks, we are much further.
Hold on. Not that. Hold on a second.
Our founders debated extensively over which branch of government should have the power to declare or initiate war. Virtually unanimously, they decided, and what was entered into the Constitution was that the declaration or initiation of war would be the power of Congress. Now, we have many advocates, many of whom are here today, who have been advocates for an expansive notion of presidential power. They often argue that wars are not really wars, that they're kinetic actions or drug busts. I think, though, if you reverse the circumstances, it becomes very difficult for these arguments to hold up. So I would ask you, if a foreign country bombed our air defense missiles, captured and removed our president, and blockaded our country, would that be considered an act of war?
Well, I think your question is about and I will acknowledge you've been very consistent on all these points the entire career. So let me. No matter who's in charge. So I will point to two things. The first is it's hard for us to conceive that an operation that lasted about 4.5 hours and was a law enforcement operation to capture someone we don't recognize as a head of state, indicted in the United States, wanted with a $50 million bounty.
My question would be, if it only took 4 hours to take our president, it's very short, nobody dies on the other side, nobody dies on our side, it's perfect. Would it be an act of war?
We just don't believe that this operation comes anywhere close to the constitutional definition of war.
But would it be an act of war if someone did it to us? Nobody dies, few casualties, they're in and out. Boom, it's a perfect military operation. Would that be an act of war? Of course it would be an act of war. I'm probably the most anti-war person in the Senate, and I would vote to declare war if someone invaded our country and took our president. So I think we need to at least acknowledge this is a one-way argument. One-way arguments that don't rebound, that you can't apply to yourselves, that cannot be universally applicable are bad arguments.
Are one-way arguments necessarily bad arguments, as Rand Paul said? I mean, certainly he's right. If a country did or attempted to do that to the President of the United States, we would respond that that was an act of war, and accordingly, under that guise. So is he right that it's a bad argument because it's one way? 312-642-5600. Give us a call or text. He offers one more hypothetical. Let's say it's not an act of war. Let's say it's what you say, which was a law enforcement operation.
Let's say it's not a war. We're just going to define it away and say it's not a war. That's one of the arguments. So it's a drug bust. What if a foreign country indicts our president for violating a foreign law? Should we extradite our president, or should we be okay if they come in and get him by force?
Look, I think ultimately we're always going to act in our national interest. And so if somebody comes after our national interest, like the case you've described, which obviously does not exist at this time, but the case you've described, the U.S. always has the right to act in its national interest and to protect itself. So really I don't know about this equivalency. Well, does this justify them doing it? We're always going to do what's best for the United States and America. We're always going to protect our system.
But the point isn't, and you're exactly right, we will act in our national interest, and we should. So I'm not disagreeing with you at all. What I'm saying is, though, that our arguments are empty then. The drug bust isn't really an argument. It's a ruse. The war argument, not a war, is a ruse. It's not a real argument. And we do what we do because we have the force, we have the might, we do it because it's in our interest. So we wouldn't let anybody come in, bomb us, blockade us, and take our president.
312-642-5600, Chicago Morning Answer call-in and text line. What do you say to Rand Paul? is he right? Because I know that's no, it's not the popular opinion, but is he right? It wasn't a great Sam Kinison, but I tried. Just trying to keep up with the pop culture references today. Robert, Bloomingdale.
Good morning. What would Russia do if we did that to Vladimir Putin and then we told their government you got to sign a peace deal with Ukraine? You think they wouldn't respond if Medvedev was in a bunker somewhere in the Chechen Republic of Russia, and he had he would be able? You don't think they would respond? And second question is, what would we do if China did that to the government of Taiwan? What would we do if China did that? Would we do anything? Would we just say, you know what? That's their sphere of influence. We got nothing to do with it.
Why don't you answer Rand Paul's question? Is he right?
Of course he is. Of course he's right.
He's right. Okay. Thanks for the call, Robert. Text 24/7, except that Venezuelans were celebrating after our actions. Well, right. That's a symptom of the larger point here, I think, that Marco Rubio didn't get to. Maybe he didn't want to go down these into, the sort of go through the philosophical looking glass here, but it would have been useful if he did. Is there any difference? Is it a hollow argument if it's not universally applicable? That's the question. The hypotheticals that Rand Paul presented, certainly he is right, as I said. If another country tried to do to us what the Trump administration did to Maduro, we would consider that an act of war and we would respond accordingly. I don't think there's much debate about that. The question is, so what? Is it okay to have a one-way argument? Is it okay for the United States to have a one-way argument? Is that legitimate to say we would extradite? We extradited the head of a state that also turned out to be the head of a narco-trafficking cartel, or a higher up at minimum, who had been indicted under our laws in this country. That's what we did. And if the reverse had happened to us, we would not take it lying down. We would consider it an act of war, and we would respond accordingly. And the only reason we get away with it is because we have the might to do so. So this is a case of morally dubious might makes right policymaking. Is that the sum total of it? That's the libertarian perspective. And don't forget the great description of libertarianism, the great description libertarianism has of democracy, which is to say democracy is three wolves and a sheep deciding what to have for lunch. So I'm sympathetic to some of the free minds and free markets views of people like Rand Paul. I'm not sympathetic to this argument that he made, and I'll tell you why after you tell me what you think. Mike in Lake Forest.
Morning, Dan.
Morning.
I guess if America had been making illegal narcotics and sending them all over the world to hurt people or kill people, they might have that argument might have a leg to stand on. But look at how many politicians have done nothing, and because of the drugs being shipped into America, who did anything about it? It took Trump.
Thanks for the call, Mike. Yeah. Well, Mike is getting to something, too. Would a head of state in this country be free to operate the way Maduro operated in Venezuela? Think about that question. It'd be nice if Rubio put that back on Rand Paul, since we're doing hypotheticals. Think about that question, and it implicates the larger point. Russ in Palos Heights.
Thanks, Dan. Is anyone else tired of the neutrality position that is always taken by Rand Paul on any subject, rather than the purity of one side or another. For instance, his positioning that he took on other matters such as Doge while he was in charge of a similar item towards Doge in his previous work on searching through the federal government's expenditures.
Thanks for the call, Russ. Michael, Arlington Heights.
I think Mike in Lake Forest was exactly right. I mean, it wasn't bombs that Maduro was sending to the United States. He was sending drugs. So therefore, guess what? We're going to act against it. It's not an act of war to go against their act of war against us.
Thanks for the call, Michael. Anthony, Joliet.
I totally agree with Marco Rubio. We should always act in our best interest. That's what we expect of government leaders. So I do agree with some points that Rand Paul makes, but again, got to do what we have to do for us.
Thanks for the call, Anthony. And, even if it's morally inconsistent, that's an argument to make. Even if there's intellectual, moral inconsistency, we're going to act in our best interest. But my suggestion is there is no moral or intellectual inconsistency here, despite what Rand Paul suggests in terms of if the tables were turned, we would react differently. We would, but there's a reason why. There's a reason why it's legitimate. Brian, Wheatfield, Indiana.
Hey, good morning, Dan. So I guess with Rand Paul, I think what I hear him saying is like, let's call it what it really is instead of saying it's this or that. But the other hand, what if it's a Biden administration and they say they're doing the best thing in America's interest? Then what? So I see that road that Rand Paul is going down.
Thanks for the call, Brian. Kurt, St. Charles.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that if Trump had gone to Congress and asked permission, how many dead servicemen would there be, service people? And Maduro would be in hiding right now. We would be bogged down in another Iraq situation, trying to get a dictator out of power.
Thanks for the call, Kurt. Craig, Mount Greenwood.
Thanks for taking the call. Tell you what, Rand Paul, he's usually pretty good on some things there, the way he looks at things. I'm really disappointed in him. Marco Rubio's exactly right. Here's why. This was more of a rescue operation, okay? Trump took and basically did something here that is basically affected all of those people unlawfully, and I mean, all kinds of things that affect us and affect other nations, other people, other countries, and all that. And he made a presidential, what's it called, decision. And it's like this last caller. I mean, if he would have gone through all the stuff, he would have jeopardized all kinds of ways to do this in a really good, efficient way. He would have wrecked the whole damn operation. So he made a presidential decision, just like other presidents have done, to do all kinds of crazy things, and nobody gave him a hard time. This guy made a decision that Trump did. It worked out very well, and it was a perfectly done thing. But
Yes.
Like
Yes, thanks for the call, Craig. Yes, but the question is the hypothetical. Is it an empty position if it's a one-way position? That's the assertion that Rand Paul makes. And the answer is no. Mike in Union.
Hey, Dan, I think his assumption and his hypothetical would have to say that both actors would be honest brokers. Was the leader of Venezuela an honest broker in what he was doing? No, he was acting in his self-interest and a gang that sold drugs to our country.
Well, right. Thanks for the call, Mike. But it's 2 words. I'm surprised no one mentioned it, actually, because we have very smart listeners who are engaged on this kind of stuff, which is why I liked the show, because we can have conversations here that are had almost nowhere else. Even the Rubio-Rand Paul conversation is an outlier yesterday. It's a sad commentary on our discourse, but I digress. 2 words. American exceptionalism. That's what I would have said back to Rand Paul. American exceptionalism. Senator Paul, I get where you're coming from philosophically, but yes, we can under color of law, affect a law enforcement action that apprehends a fugitive from justice in this country, even if he's a head of state, when he's also the head of a cartel. And yes, if somebody attempted to do that to us under color of their laws, we would object, and we would deem that an act of war and respond accordingly, because it's their laws, not our laws. American exceptionalism. I'm sorry, but all ways societies around the world are organized are not equal. America is the shining beacon of light and freedom the world over because of our representative Republican form of government. That's what gives us legitimacy. Yes, the force to defend it and to promote it obviously is critical. But what gives us the moral legitimacy, the intellectual legitimacy, is that our system of government is better. That we believe in the rule of law and equal protection under it. That we believe that all men are equal before the law, deserving its protection and treatment under it. And that is not the case in Venezuela, obviously. I'm sorry, but the dictatorial forms of government from tin horns in Central and South America to Islamic theocracies in North Africa and the Middle East are not the same as America. So they don't enjoy the same moral or intellectual legitimacy. It's better on those measures. And so if somebody came under their laws, quote unquote, in countries that are governed by men, not law, we would see that as illegitimate, because it is illegitimate. We're the one country, and I mean, technically, Canada, Western Europe, some of what remains of Western civilization, technically sort of are supposed to operate similarly. Do they in practice? Less and less so. But if somebody came under their law, under their illegitimate man-made laws, I mean, in other words, man-directed enforcement of the law, as opposed to sort of philosophically the foundation from which we start, it's not the same as us coming for Maduro. Fundamentally different, Senator, with all due respect. All right. Yeah, fun discussion. I'm glad we had it. Coming up at 7:07, Stu Smith, City Journal. We'll pick it up. We've got a couple more cultural references I want to squeeze in, too. It's now 7 o'clock at AM 560 WIND Chicago.
What will Tom Homan say? I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The border czar will talk to reporters in a few minutes in Minnesota after President Trump put Homan in charge of immigration enforcement there after all the anti-ICE anger that grew over Saturday's deadly shooting of a protester. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey talked to Homan this week and tells CNN
he did not make a commitment to ending it on any given timeline. However, my hope, my expectation is that the troops and the agents we're seeing will be drawn down.
Democratic Governor Tim Walz also wants ICE out. He's not running for re-election, and this morning, Democratic Senator Amy Klobuchar announced she's running for governor. There's a new Fox News poll out.
59% of voters say ICE is too aggressive. 49% of registered voters think local governments like Minneapolis should cooperate with ICE. Mayor Frey says he does not plan to do that.
That's Fox's Lucas Tomlinson. Also in that poll, more than half surveyed think the U.S. is worse off now than a year ago. Two-thirds think President Trump should spend more time on high prices in the economy. We'll hear from him at a cabinet meeting later this morning. The president posted on Truth Social another claim he won a 2020 election he called crooked after the FBI conducted a raid in Georgia, seizing ballots and voting records in Fulton County. Democrats call it alarming.
Shortly after that election, then President Trump spoke to Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger and said he needed to find 11,780 votes to win the state. At the time, Raffensperger said he felt pressure from Trump and denied any widespread election fraud.
Fox's David Spun. Cleanup from that massive storm continues. There were still 100,000 power outages in Tennessee, almost as many in Mississippi. Some homes also have no heater water. Bo Moore with Mississippi Emergency Management tells Fox Weather.
Our local water associations in each one of these communities are impacted because their generators are failing or they're running low on fuels.
America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 4 degrees in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. A man accused of stabbing a pregnant mother to death in Downers Grove is expected to appear in court today. Fox 32 Chicago's Leslie Marino reports.
According to court documents, 19-year-old Nettis Ravukas is behind bars after allegedly stabbing Eliza 70 times, then setting her home on fire. Eliza was 5 months pregnant. Prosecutors say Eliza and Ravukas met on Facebook Marketplace and eventually met in person to finalize a truck sale. Ravukas initially denied involvement, then confessed to the killing, claiming he was angry about the condition of the truck. Family says Eliza was still alive when the fire was started and tried to escape.
That suspect also reportedly stabbed the victim's dog, which was able to escape. Democratic and Republican lawmakers clashed this week over a West Chicago teacher was placed on administrative leave over a social media post interpreted as supporting immigration and customs enforcement. Democrats called the message harmful, while Republicans warned against targeting federal law enforcement. Superintendent Christina Davis says the teacher initially resigned but later withdrew that resignation. Following a meeting with administration, the employee has been placed on administrative leave and is barred from the district property pending an investigation. And Arlington Heights police are investigating after vandalism was reported at the Republicans of Wheeling Township headquarters. Video images show two alleged offenders outside the GOP offices on Sunday night with graffiti scrawled on windows. The images also showed profanities written over a poster of late Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk, who was born in Arlington Heights and attended Wheeling High School. This report is a service of the daily podcast of Chicago's Morning Answer and The Sean Thompson Show. Hear both shows with limited commercials when you subscribe for free to the daily podcast at 560theanswer.com/podcast. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
I'm Jeannie Ives. And I'm Amy Jacobson. Join us for The Real Story beginning Monday, February 2nd from 11 to noon, Monday through Friday. We'll bring you the real information from Springfield, Chicago, and beyond. We'll expose the lies and misinformation from the politicians and the media. Listen to us on the station or online at 560theanswer.com. You can watch us live on Breakthrough Ideas Facebook page or Breakthrough Ideas YouTube channel. The Real Story begins on Monday, February 2nd at 11 a.m.
The following is a paid political announcement.
This is Kevin Coyne, Chairman of the DuPage County GOP. I am inviting you to our Lincoln Day dinner on Friday, February 27th at Abington Banquets in Glen Ellen. We will feature keynote speaker and national political commentator Tudor Dixon. Enjoy an evening of camaraderie, great food, and Republican unity. Sponsorship packages are available. Purchase tickets today at DuPageGOP.com. Paid for by DuPage County Republican Central Committee.
Let me share Brian's story. He's in Alabama, and he wrote in, he said, Glenn, after taking Relief Factor for just 3 weeks, at least 90% of my pain is gone. My pain had started to limit me at work and at home, and I am amazed at the relief that I have gotten. Those are Brian's own words, and they speak volumes about what Relief Factor can do. And I've seen that kind of transformation in myself, and hearing Brian's experience reinforces why I take endorsing Relief Factor so seriously. Before I started taking Relief Factor myself, I was losing hope that I could ever have a normal life again. My hands were in so much pain. It's created by doctors, a 100% drug-free product using 4 key ingredients. It supports the body's natural inflammatory response. Hundreds of thousands of people have ordered Relief Factor, and like Brian and me, over 2/3 of these people go on to order more month after month. So don't wait. If you're dealing with pain, launch your 3-week quick start and see what Relief Factor can do for you. Call 800-4RELIEF or go to relieffactor.com. Don't wait anymore. Feel what it's like to be out of pain. 1-800-4-RELIEF.
Do you know someone with a drug or alcohol problem? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything. Stop the drug and alcohol nightmare. Are drug and alcohol problems hitting you too close to home? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything.
800-694-1127. 800-694-1127. That's 800-694-1127.
It's about time pros had one partner for the whole job. Why juggle 10 different suppliers when one can do it all? At the Home Depot, you'll save with pricing built for pros. You'll stay on track with job site deliveries, scheduled, next day, or same day. And you'll get every size, every finish, every job lot quantity you need. One partner for the entire job. That's how pros get more done. The Home Depot Pro. It's about time.
Mike Lindell has a passion to help people get the best sleep of their life. He started by creating the best pillow ever, and right now he is passing the best prices to you when you use promo code LIBERTY. They want to thank you for your continued support by passing on some Christmas specials to our listeners. Get wholesale pricing on the classic My Pillows for $17.98. Transform any mattress with a My Mattress topper and save up to $100. Get a set of Giza sheets for as low as $29.98 or the 6-pack towel set for only $39.98. To get the best specials ever, go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. These offers won't last long, so call 800-489-0201 or go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY. Rest easy remembering that MyPillow products come with a 10-year warranty. Call today, 800-489-0201, promo code LIBERTY.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. On the outbound Kennedy, a crash has been cleared at Kimball Avenue, but still slow from about Armitage Avenue, so it's 16 minutes from the Burn Interchange to Montrose. Inbound is 10. 16 minutes both ways on the Edens from Lake Cook to Montrose. 24 minutes inbound on the Eisenhower from Wolf to the Old Post Office. Outbound is 16. 31 minutes now inbound on the Stevenson from Veterans Memorial to Lakeshore. Outbound is 24. 18 minutes inbound on the Dan Ryan from 95th to Burn Interchange. Outbound is 11. Slow in the express lanes from Pershing Road to the Stevenson. The inbound Bishop Ford and I-57 slow down as you approach the Dan Ryan, and Lakeshore Drive northbound slows down as you head towards Hollywood Avenue. This report is a service of the AM 560 store. Order t-shirts, hoodies, and more from your favorite AM 560 brands, including Proft University and The Sean Thompson Show, when you go to 560theanswer.com/store. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now the latest forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be bitterly cold with a mix of clouds and sun, reaching a high of 17. Tonight remains bitterly cold with clouds increasing and a chance of a snow shower by dawn with a low of 4. Tomorrow expect a mix of sun and clouds with a few snow showers, especially in heavier lake effect snow bands. It'll be frigid with a high of 19. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Wealth Health Radio with Joe Murphy, Sundays, noon to 1. Learn more online at mwmfinancial.tax.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. BLM Brandon, mayor of Chicago, at the National Press Club yesterday because he's an important voice on the salient issues of our day. He's a historical figure, don't you know? In the same way that Kamala Harris considered herself a historical figure. He had this to unveil, in general terms, a new and exciting action that the city is allegedly preparing to take with respect to holding ICE responsible criminally for conduct that BLM Brandon finds objectionable, like, enforcing the law.
We are working on additional measures that we believe will make Chicago the first city in the country to be able to effectively hold ICE and Border Patrol officers accountable for criminal misconduct.
I'm looking forward to more details on that. When things got a little bit more relaxed, collegial there at the National Press Club, kicking ideas around, offering historical perspective in a way that only someone with a grasp of history that Brandon Johnson has could do. We've heard this before in Chicago, but he's auditioning it for a national audience.
It's unfortunate that Greg Bovino's, that his legacy will take time for people to understand how nasty of an individual he really is. It's powerful that we have been able to effectively push back at local levels as well as in the courts around Gregory Bavino's activities. His dressing, his whole package, it is so familiar that I believe that it was blinding for some people. That it's clear, there's two things. One, it's clear that the far right in this country, that they have not accepted the results of the Civil War, and that they have longed for a rematch to have a republic that subjugates and subjects individuals to a permanent lower class. And that, again, when we have witnessed the largest upward transfer of wealth in any other time in American history, there's your evidence of the type of stratification that the extreme right in this country prefers.
Right. So Greg Bavino is Bull Connor, is Simon Legree. And I'll tell you, only somebody with a particular handle on history could move past the fact that the Republican Party was founded as an abolitionist party, and the man who presided over the Civil War and instigated it was a Republican president for the purposes of dismantling the institution of slavery. Only somebody with a particular grasp on history could suggest that it is conservatives, even moderate Republicans. Anybody who voted for Trump is the far right, according to Brandon Johnson, of course, and his ilk, wants to relitigate the Civil War. But again, you have to have that unique understanding of Brandon Johnson, of history, that few like Brandon Johnson possess. More on the topic and related matters. Stu Smith joins us, investigative analyst for City Journal. Stu, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Happy to be here. How are you?
Good. I'm sure you're not surprised by those comments from Brandon Johnson. He has been beating the drum against white supremacy, which is around every corner, lurking around every corner, since he was a teachers union apparatchik, and now since he's been mayor, as most of these big blue city mayors do. I mean, this still is the calling card, and they move from domestic policing issues seamlessly to federal immigration law enforcement, as they have over the last several years.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that's interesting about all of this is that, you know, figures like Brandon Johnson and the DSA, you know, they like to be the critics, but they have a very tough time being in power and effectively governing without being able to blame everyone else in the world. And Johnson is only popular with this very fringe group of what I call activist bullies. And without that activist bully support, you know, I don't know where he would be.
Yeah, he may be down with his former Chicago Teachers Union comrades, trying to help, trying to bring the best practices of the Maduro regime when it comes to K through 12 education back to Chicago, which actually it turns out they've done a pretty good job. Remember, his fellow travelers in that union went down to Caracas under Maduro, looked at the school system, praised the school system, very excited to bring all that they learned back to Chicago. And we just see this play out again and again and again, where these sort of activist bullies, as you call them, are flacking for totalitarians in our midst as well as around the world.
Yeah, I mean, this is the same person who, you know, spoke at a conference at the Chicago Teachers Union Hall, where they spent half the conference praising armed resistance in Gaza and the Philippines, you know, praised fighting ICE officers in the streets. When he took the stage Some people even rushed the stage to protest him. So, I mean, this is a crowd that is volatile, that wants to fight, that has this skewed view of the world, where the people who are what I would call like global villains are the good guys, and anyone who is trying to, just be a normal person and get by is, evil. I mean, it's such a insane reality to have, but this is the reality that Brandon Johnson pushes and thinks everyone should have. I mean, it is insane.
Give us some more color on some of these organizations that you've written about, including, for example, the People's Forum.
Yeah, so there's this network of people. Some people call it the Singham Network, and what you have are, yes, Neville Roy Singham, ThoughtWorks. He sells it, and he's a tech guy, and so now he uses all this money to fund all these various groups all across the country. And so, like, some of the ones that are really closely allied and, like, working hard to, like, praise Brandon Johnson are going to be groups like Freedom Road Socialist Organization, which, evolved out of the 80s from, like, Maoist groups. You have USPCN, the U.S. Palestinian Community Network, Arab American Action Network. You even have groups like Bayan, which is a Filipino communist organization, which is very actually closely allied with the Communist Party of the Philippines, which is a foreign terrorist organization that has been designated for decades now. And another one that's kind of interesting that some people might remember is Students for a Democratic Society. And that is actually like a skin suit of a former organization that Freedom Road rebooted in 2006, knowing that people would recognize the name from
the 60s.
Weather Underground days.
Yeah. And so Kash Patel earlier this week said, we are following the money and the organizational footprints in places like Minneapolis of people that are organizing professional agitators to break the law, to assault law enforcement officers, to impede law enforcement operations. We are doing this. And he said, I can't tell you anything yet, but we're doing it. So the networks, the organizations and the networks that you've investigated, do you think that they are integral to what's happening with respect to ICE and CBP operations across the country? And if so, how difficult is it to track and put together the case against them if they are conspiring to break federal law? I think there's some frustration that it seems like we've heard about some of these groups. You're maybe introducing some new ones to people, but we've heard about these for a long time. There's been a lot of talk about following the money. I mean, how really sophisticated are they such that you can't, all the resources of the FBI and the federal government, and you can't seem to put together the complete picture and hold people responsible if they are breaking federal law?
I am a massive advocate for expanding the IRS. I know people hear that and they freak out, but we're talking about expanding the exempted organizations division. So that would be specifically looking at nonprofits who are abusing nonprofit status to foment chaos across the country. And so you always see the nonprofit industry grow, have massive growth over the years. But that division of the IRS, recently has lost 25% of their staff. So you have a staff that can't even keep up with the growth, and all they do is they're very reactive. They're not proactively looking at these groups and saying, hey, they say their purpose is this, but they are causing chaos in the streets. Like a good example in Minneapolis right now is the Sunrise Movement, which was a green organization that's now devoted itself to fighting fascism because their argument here is that, well, we can't be environmentally friendly until Trump's gone. And so then you have, you will have them on like live webinars saying, yeah, we're doing these illegal wake up night calls, and we know that once the police gives us a warning, we leave and we won't get arrested, but we've already done the damage. So, and like a nonprofit can't do that. But it's not like you have this division at the IRS saying, like, even writing a letter warning them. You don't even have anything like that. So that's kind of where I say, hey, we need to expand this division of the IRS. We're not going after individual people who are working hard. We're going after these nonprofits who are abusing the system. And whenever you hear of any of these groups, people can look up their tax forms, the 990s.
Yeah.
You can look at them and you can see the details of like who's on the board, how much money they have, and even like sometimes they have like these ridiculous purposes, like community movement builders just says their purpose is to organize and educate. That shouldn't be enough to get you nonprofit status. I'm sorry. You have to give us more details. So it's stuff like that where it's just vague and no one's really like having any sort of oversight on these groups.
Well, and something else too, like the SJP chapters that were discussed when there were campus takeovers by pro-Hamas students and probably professional agitators as well, and that the foreign money that comes into these organizations at the grassroots level as well. I mean, we had Scott Bessent beating the drums a couple of weeks ago about following the money that was being exported from Tehran by the mullahs to make sure they had money and a safe place to land if they needed to abdicate. And he said, we're working through the global banking system to follow the money. They're not going to have access to it, and so on and so forth. I mean, if there are organizations that, Iranian mullahs are running money through to get to professional agitator groups in the United States, I don't think that's particularly far-fetched. Then it seems to me that's something else that Treasury, the combination of Treasury, DOJ, FBI should be on. And we hear some sort of general talk in that direction, but we don't really see much in the way of results.
Yeah, I mean, one example I can give you in Virginia is that, before he was made administrator of the DEA, Terry Cole was testifying that you had dark money going back and forth between Hamas and Hezbollah to SJP and AMP, American Muslims for Palestine. And he testified about this. And then you have, Virginia's AG at the time, Jason Miyares, try to go after AMP to get some details related to that. And that got, shut down by a judge. So, I mean, that's kind of where one of those hills that you get to where it's like, okay, you have it, and then you have like an activist judge, intervene, and so then you're back to square one. But yeah, I mean, there are a lot of issues with that. You have lots of issues with certainly, the universities having these like centers that effectively work as like, radical activists, like factories pretty much. So there's a lot of things that we could do so much better on, but
even even too, like the whole sort of, politicians in robes, I understand that's a problem, but even bringing this to light and putting this out in the public domain, sort of citizen journalist style, just, presenting the evidence. Now, I can't get this to past this, Obama appointed judge or whoever, but I can still put this out into the public domain for people to see. And, you make your own decisions. And it also puts pressure on those who do have enforcement power to perhaps do more than they're doing. It just seems like a lot of this is always sort of cast in the shadows of the legal process or general ongoing investigations, and not enough of it comes to light. There's good reporting that's done by you and others that connects some of the dots, but you don't have the power to gather the information that federal law enforcement agencies do. And if if you're running into obstructionist judges, then put the information out for public consumption. I mean, it's stuff that the American public has a right to know.
Yeah, I mean, I did get the FOIAs back for that AMP case this week, but so I'm going through that now. But yeah, I mean, like with the University of Washington, they had this student group do $1 million worth of damage to the building, to a new building. They were just allowed back on campus this week, and yesterday they were passing out Yahya Sinwar pamphlets about Hamas. First day back on campus, and something like that I see. Yeah, old habits are. But it's something like that where it's just I see that and I'm like, Linda McMahon, this is a slam dunk. Please do something. I mean, this is. I mean, and it is baffling, but sometimes these things are just slow. Like a good example of that is the Alliance for Global Justice. During 2020, they put over $50 million into the streets with various activist orgs, and the ball is finally rolling on that just now. So some of these things do take time, but yeah, it's incredibly frustrating. But I do think, with more citizen journalism and just, people exposing this stuff, maybe we can kind of get that machine optimized so we can do a much better job about being proactive opposed to being reactive when we kind of realize who these major players are, like the Singham Network.
Stu Smith, investigative analyst at City Journal. You can follow him. Very nicely done here. Wonderful Phil Collins. The Stu Studio is his handle on X. Very good. Stu Smith, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
And he joined us at Chicago's Morning Answer.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Anthony and John here from Bionic Auto Parts, proud clients of Signature Bank. We deliver high-quality, recycled and remanufactured auto parts to Chicago and Milwaukee. Our mission is simple: provide parts safely, reliably, with great customer satisfaction.
We process over 350 vehicles a month. With big banks, everything took forever. Layers of approvals and endless delays. At Signature Bank, one call got it done. Whether it's lending, deposits, or treasury management, they deliver fast. Signature Bank made us feel like family. That's a partnership we deeply appreciate.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Call Signature Bank at 773-467-5600 or visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hey, it's Scott Jennings inviting you to join me on the unforgettable Gulf of America cruise happening this November 2026. Imagine it: turquoise waters, white sand beaches, incredible food, and insightful conversations about the future of our great country. Mike Gallagher and I will dive into the issues shaping America as we cruise through some of the most stunning destinations while honoring the 250th anniversary of our nation. Text cruise to 94878 or visit scottjenningsshow.com and click the cruise banner to sign up today.
Salem News Channel, your go-to source for news and conservative opinion. We reveal how politics hits home, how your family, your freedoms, your way of life are debated, challenged, even regulated. Every day we cut through the noise, pitting nonsense against common sense. On every screen, in every home, Salem News Channel is across America.
Hey there, Chicagoland. Jeff here from Jeff Buys Your House. For many homeowners, winter can feel overwhelming. There's big bills, unexpected situations, or the stress of owning a home you no longer want. But here's the good news. You don't need to wait for warmer weather to make a change. At Jeff Buys Your House, we make selling simple. Even in the heart of winter, you don't need to fix anything, do any cleaning, and you certainly don't need to worry about unpredictable buyers. We buy houses as is, and you choose the closing date that works best for you. We've made the home selling process easy and stress-free for nearly 2 decades. That's why homeowners trust us, and why we've earned over 400 Google reviews and an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. As a veteran-owned business, we handle everything with integrity and care. So if winter is weighing on you, we are here to help lighten the load. call us at 630-895-9530. That's 630-895-9530 or jeffbuysyourhouse.com and get your offer today.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up at 7:37, Brian Pannebecker, former employee of Ford and Chrysler, founder of Auto Workers for Trump. He was at the White House yesterday. I wonder if he got a hug from Nicki Minaj. Brian Pannebecker, Auto Workers for Trump, 7:37. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It is 4 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. If you use the SWS, HCD, or BNSF Metro service, you might want to give yourself some extra time. Metro officials say Amtrak switch and signal issues are causing delays up to a half an hour on those lines. You can find the latest updates on Metro's website, metra.com. 2 women escaped serious injury after being grazed by gunfire on Wednesday. Police say a 71-year-old woman received a wound to her neck while a 39-year-old woman received an injury to her leg. The 71-year-old was transported to the hospital while the 39-year-old declined treatment. And lawmakers have advanced a proposal to entice the Chicago Bears to build their new stadium in the Hoosier State. The Indiana State Senate has advanced a bill proposed by the Senate Finance Committee last week to establish the Northwest Indiana Stadium Authority. Meanwhile, officials in our states are working behind the scenes to keep the Bears here. This report is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Big savings on full-mouth dental implants are here at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Medical insurance can make what used to cost a fortune surprisingly affordable. Don't wait. Take the 60-second quiz to see if you qualify at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
On February 24th, President Trump will deliver his State of the Union address to Congress.
Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States.
And AM 560 The Answer is throwing a viewing party, and you're invited to join us for dinner at the Meridian Banquets and Conference Center in Rolling Meadows. Enjoy dinner before the speech, and then watch the speech with AM 560's Dan Proft, Sean Thompson, Jeannie Ives, Amy Jacobson, and John Anthony. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/party. Sponsored in part by Stephen A. Leahy with Opum Tax Advocates.
Don't risk losing the news, sports, and weather that AM radio delivers. When cell and internet service fail, AM is your lifeline. With time running out, your voice matters. Text AM to 39179 and tell Congress vote yes on the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act to keep AM radio in cars.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
New Year's resolutions sound great on January 1st, but January 10th, not so much. This year, there's one resolution worth keeping, getting your finances in order. For many people, that starts with balance, not just growth, but protection too. And that's where Noble Gold Investments comes in. For over a decade, they've made it easy for investors to add gold and silver to their portfolios and reduce market risk. Visit NobleGoldInvestments.com, NobleGoldInvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals involves risk. Consult with your tax or financial professional before making investment decisions.
The fight against sexual exploitation begins at home. Sexual exploitation is no longer a distant issue. It's happening here in our communities, schools, and even our homes. Every day, millions of Americans are targeted and trapped through manipulation, coercion, and deception. Sexploited in America, The Invisible War is a powerful docuseries exposing the hidden systems and cultural blind spots that allow exploitation to thrive, and gives a voice to the survivors and families forever changed by it. Raw, unfiltered, deeply human, these stories reveal both the devastating realities of exploitation and the extraordinary courage of those who refuse to be silenced. Sexploited in America, the docuseries is presented by AGA Media and available to everyone now at salemnow.com.
Temperatures are cooling, but not concerns about inflation, market volatility, and taxes. Revisit your financial plan this winter. BestGen Wealth Partners work with individuals to develop personalized plans that help navigate changing conditions with confidence. Visit GetRetiredStayRetired.com to learn more.
Advisory services offered through BestGen Advisors, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Securities offered through Private Client Services, LLC, member FINRA and SIPC. Private Client Services and BestGen Advisors, LLC are unaffiliated entities. Any information discussed does not constitute investment advice. BestGen Advisors and Private Client Services do not offer tax legal advice.
Salem News Channel. your go-to source for news and conservative opinion. We reveal how politics hits home, how your family, your freedoms, your way of life are debated, challenged, even regulated. Every day we cut through the noise, pitting nonsense against common sense. On every screen, in every home, Salem News Channel is across America.
Did you know most remodeling mishaps start before construction even begins? Here's something else you should know. At Forever Remodeling, we do things differently. Every kitchen, bathroom, and basement project starts with smart planning, detailed 3D designs, a clear scope of work, and accurate pricing, all sorted out before you get started. No surprises, no stress, just beautiful results. Done right the first time. Visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, EVER, remodeling.com. And schedule your free in-home consultation today.
If you or someone you love are getting high quotes for dental implants, visit almostfreeteeth.com today. With a medical PPO insurance plan, it's possible to save 90% off on average to be able to smile again. Check if you qualify now at almostfreeteeth.com.
File your taxes for free with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. Just file on your own in the Credit Karma app by February 28th. Valid for those who didn't file with TurboTax last year.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. Jam-packed northbound on Lakeshore Drive between Bryn Mawr Avenue and Hollywood Avenue, and the Stevenson is 45 minutes inbound from Veterans Memorial to Lakeshore. Outbound is 23. Not too bad on the Dan Ryan. From 95th to the Burn Interchange is 22 minutes. Outbound is 11. You are slow on the Bishop Ford inbound between 111th Street and the Dan Ryan. The Tri-State, that is also jammed northbound between Cermak Road and the Eisenhower, and on the Eisenhower it's 29 minutes inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office. Outbound is 20. About 18 minutes both ways on the Edens from Lake Cook to Montrose, and the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Burn Interchange is 17 minutes. Outbound is 16. It's time to take care of you. Who better to help you than the top voices in well-being on Audible? Kickstart your well-being journey with your first audiobook free when you sign up for a 30-day trial at audible.com/wellbeing. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now the latest forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be bitterly cold with a mix of clouds and sun, reaching a high of 17. Tonight remains bitterly cold with clouds on the rise, possibly leading to a snow shower by dawn with a low of 4. Tomorrow, expect intervals of clouds and sun with a few snow showers, especially in heavier lake effect snow bands, as temperatures stay frigid with a high of 19. I'm meteorologist Jason Catarina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by The Real Story with Jeannie Ives, powered by Breakthrough Ideas, Sunday evening at 7 on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. A couple of weeks ago, of course, President Trump visited a Ford plant in Detroit and met with the chairman of Ford, Bill Ford. Had this to say about the auto industry in part.
So this plant, you might talk about it. This plant goes 24 hours around the clock. Before it used to go 3 hours around the clock.
No, it will. So we're adding a third shift, and it's going to be running, as the president said, 24 hours, 6 days a week. And that just shows the demand there is for this product, which is the best-selling product, as you all know, in America, and it just gets hotter and hotter. So we have a great relationship with the president and his whole staff. They've been great to work with for us. He personally is incredibly responsive every time we need something or call. We very much appreciate it, and you know, we couldn't be more excited. We're adding market share. We're growing as a company. We're adding jobs, not just here but elsewhere. Times are good for us.
And all of the U.S.
And out from underneath the EV mandate, among other enhancements. For more on this, please be joined by Brian Pennebecker, former employee of Ford and Chrysler, founder of Auto Workers for Trump. Brian, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Dan, thanks for having me on. It's an honor.
So first question, of course, the most important question. Did you get a hug from Nicki Minaj at the White House?
I got a big one.
Did
see
you?
it on Instagram?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was an unexpected treat. She walked in. He had a meeting with her, I think it was earlier in the morning. The guy does 5 or 6 meetings a day. And we were kept in a holding room outside the Oval Office for an hour and a half. We had 3 o'clock appointment, and we had to sit in like a conference room till 4:30 because he was meeting with the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, something dealing with the relations with the Senate. But when we walked in, Mike Johnson was still there. So we were kind of standing off to that side of the Oval Office. Trump had walked out with somebody from the previous meeting, so he wasn't in the Oval when we stepped in. And then he walked back in, and we heard some people talking behind him, and he says, "Oh, I got a special treat for you guys." And in walks Nicki Minaj, and I was standing up at the front of the group, and he said, "Nikki, do you know Brian Panebecker? He's the Auto Workers for Trump guy." And she goes, "Oh, yeah, I've seen him on TV." And she gave me a big hug.
Yeah, and now there was no criticism of, hey, Brian, this hug is, you're holding on a little bit, like it's uncomfortably long. There was none of that.
I did hold on for an extra second, Dan.
Yeah. No, I understand. Sure. Well, I mean, it's a once in a lifetime type of thing. The Auto Workers for Trump organization. I mean, so, it's one of those interesting dynamics. We saw this throughout the campaign where, and we've seen this really since Trump arrived on the scene, where a lot of rank and file guys in the trades that are union guys attracted to Trump in a way that we haven't maybe seen with the Republican Party since going back to Reagan Democrats in the Ronald Reagan era. And even sort of culminating with the Teamsters boss O'Brien taking a neutral position in the race, which was unheard of. So where you heard from Bill Ford, and you hear what the president said, and things seem to be going well from the perspective of management and the bottom line of the big automakers. But what about from the rank and file perspective?
They love Trump now more than ever. When he was in office during his first term, he got rid of the NAFTA agreement, which we hated. The membership hated that trade agreement. Ross Perot had infamously said, if NAFTA was signed into law, you'd hear a giant sucking sound, and that would be all of our manufacturing jobs leaving the country and going to Mexico. Well, he was exactly correct. We lost 90,000 manufacturing facilities, not jobs, facilities, since 1994 after the signing of NAFTA. So Trump had taken care of that. He renegotiated a much better trade agreement. He wants to tweak it now. It's the USMCA, United States, Mexico, Canada agreement. He wants to move beyond that now that he's got his tariffs implemented. But so he did that after he was elected. The auto workers loved him even more. And now that he's announced his tariff regime in April on Liberation Day, they get it. The workers, the people on the floor get it. They understand this guy's fighting for them, and he's going to force these companies, American companies like Ford Motor Company, Chrysler Corporation, and General Motors, to build their plants back in the United States, reopen the plants they've closed, bring those jobs back, and start those assembly lines back up in the Midwest, places like Illinois, Michigan, Indiana, Ohio. Bring our jobs back, and it's already started happening, Dan.
And his posture with respect to Canada and Mexico, obviously there's been some tense words exchanged between Carney and Trump. There have been... Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess that answers my question. I mean, I assume the hard line that he has taken vis-a-vis China and those who would aid and abet the Chinese Communist Party is also music to your ears.
100%. China's been eating our lunch ever since we let them into the World Trade Organization. They treat them like they're still a third world country, a developing nation, a developing economy. That's all BS. Trump gets it. The guy's a businessman. So he cuts right through the BS. He says, no, we're not playing those games anymore. China's our adversary, And, he works both sides of the aisle with Xi Jinping. He says, hey, I've got a great relationship. I have a lot of respect for the man. Yeah, because the guy's smart. He's been eating our lunch for 20 years. So Trump says, no more. We're not going to let it happen. Trump puts America first. That's his motto. That's his slogan. America first. Make America great again. Not make Mexico great. Not make Canada great. Not let China keep taking advantage of us. Make America great again.
I mentioned the Teamsters, and this goes for union workers, sort of on the trade side. Governments,
yes.
Yeah, government's a whole different thing. But there was this news out this week that UPS is looking to cut another 30,000 jobs this year on top of 48,000 that were eliminated last year to pare labor costs. And this was after Sean O'Brien and the Teamsters, played hardball with UPS and got a pretty handsome contract a couple of years ago. And, now there is some paying of the piper in terms of pretty substantial layoffs. How do guys think about that in terms of the balance between maximizing their earnings and benefits, which everybody tries to do, totally understand that, but balancing that maximization with an understanding that if you take it too far, then there will be there's the potential of some boomerang effect. Like it's a nice pay package if you can stick around to enjoy it.
Dan, you make an excellent point, and some people don't understand this, but you are spot on. There's a limit, and this is where unions get into dangerous territory. If you think back 10 or 12 years, you remember a big company named General Motors, once the biggest corporation in the world, filed for bankruptcy. Why? Because they had a retirement plan that was a defined benefit plan that said you could hire in at General Motors at 18 years old, work for 30 years until you're 48, and then if you live to be 88, you'd collect for 40 years, you'd collect almost as much as you were making while you were working. They call them legacy costs. And they had built up such a big pool of retirees that they were paying. They had like twice as many retirees as they did active workers, and they went off a cliff into bankruptcy. So Sean Fain got a very, very lucrative contract for the UAW workers in this last contract cycle. But guess what? There's a big cliff looming at the end, and if they continue to ask for more, they're headed right back down the road towards bankruptcy. So there's got to be a balance there, because the bucket of money is not endless. And you made the point in your question that the government unions are a different animal, because they're reaching into the taxpayers' pockets. And that bucket of money is almost endless. They can run us right into serfdom if they want. Police and fire and the teachers, people like that are public unions. They are they just keep taking and taking and taking. Taxes go up. But with a private corporation like the auto companies, you'll drive them into bankruptcy, and then the golden goose is dead. The companies go bankrupt.
Yeah, we know all about the government unions and defined benefit plans. The only place they still exist in Illinois, of course.
Right.
And also too the concerns about the coming robot revolution, AI, humanoids, self-driving cars, and being produced by self-operating humanoids. I mean, Elon Musk is talking about his humanoid robots, the Optimus, is being available for sale as soon as the end of this calendar year. So how does that factor into how you guys think about the future of the auto industry in terms of employment opportunities?
Good question. When I hired in at Ford Motor Company, now remember I worked 11 years for Chrysler Corporation from 78 to 89. The robotics hadn't started coming in yet, and I took a buyout from Chrysler. And then when I hired in at Ford Motor Company in 1996, robotics were just starting, they had just begun to be introduced and we thought it was a little bit of a novelty. Certain departments, we thought, they'll be able to use them here and there. But when I retired in 2020, they have gotten so far with technology now. Not only are the machines doing the manual labor on the assembly lines, but they've got, rather than high-low drivers, forklift drivers, they've got tracks through the plant where programmed carts are taking the parts from one department when they're finished to the next department where they're going to be worked on. And they're eliminating more and more jobs all the time. So we've been dealing with this since the mid-1990s. But the bottom line is this, Dan. Whatever jobs are available, whether there's a decreased number or not, we want them to be in the American Midwest, not in Saltillo, Mexico.
Yeah, no, that certainly makes sense. Brian Longren, that's Brian Longren's coming up. Brian Pennebaker, former employee of Ford and Chrysler, founder of Auto Workers for Trump and besties with Nicki Minaj. Brian, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on, Dan.
And he joined us on Chicago's Morning Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
Think your IT systems couldn't get any better? Prove it. Take the Access One $10,000 challenge. For companies with 25 to 500 employees, we'll conduct a free, confidential risk assessment based on NIST or CIS regulations. If your systems and processes are 100% compliant and we can't find a single improvement opportunity based on the regulations, we'll write you a check for $10,000. For over 30 years, Access One has helped Chicagoland businesses strengthen cybersecurity, streamline IT operations, and reduce costs through managed IT and cloud solutions. Ready to take the challenge? Schedule your free, confidential risk assessment. Visit accessoneInc.com/challenge or call 800-654-1555. Certain terms and conditions apply. See details online.
40,000 people. That's enough to pack Wrigley Field. I'm talking about 40,000 people who realized hip and knee surgery wasn't their only option. There has to be another way. Guess what? There is. They found it at QC Kinetics, an alternative to surgery. I know this because I've met the patients. They're moving better, hurting less, thanks to QC Kinetics' advanced regenerative treatments. Surgery is not always the answer, so do your research and talk with my friends at QC Kinetics. They offer natural treatments backed by real science. They will activate your body's natural healing power. It's safe, natural, and non-surgical. Osteoarthritis only gets worse, so don't wait. Get started this month. 40,000 people can't be wrong. Before you choose surgery, talk with QC Kinetics and tell them Dan Prof sent you. That's me. Call today, 312-827-6261. Again, 312-827-6261. Call QC Kinetics at 312-827-6261.
If you or someone you love are getting high quotes for dental implants, visit almostfreeteeth.com today. With a medical PPO insurance plan, it's possible to save 90% off on average to be able to smile again. Check if you qualify now at almostfreeteeth.com.
This is Hugh Hewitt for townhall.com. Canada is a small power biting the hand that protects it. That's my takeaway after watching the speech of Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney in Davos last week. He delivered a 15-minute masterclass in the national security equivalent of fantasy baseball. It was an exercise in very real moral equivalence, but Carney chose to define the world as divided into one class of 2 or 3 hegemons, then another of, quote, middle powers, and then everybody else. And Carney presumed to speak on behalf of these middle powers, his variant of the non-aligned nations of the Cold War era, banding together to oppose the hegemons, alluding very clearly to us. It's odd since Canada depends almost entirely on America for its national defense. Canada is far from a middle power. They're very nice, but they're a very small power. And Mark Carney appears to be the vain banker from Tom Wolfe's Bonfire of the Vanities, a, quote, master of the universe in his own mind in an imaginary world.
Invenergy Limited Liability Company seeks an electrical engineering manager, operations engineering multiple positions in Chicago, Illinois, to manage teams supporting third-party operating facilities, including electrical troubleshooting, review of digital fault records, relays, and other operational data for planned and unplanned electrical events. Telecommuting permitted in the U.S. for 3 to 4 times per month, $138,362 to $160,000 per year. Invenergy offers a variety of other benefits including medical, dental, and vision insurance, 401k, paid time off. In addition to base pay, the total annual compensation package may also include eligibility to participate in their bonus programs, which are designed to reward individual and company performance. Additional bonus eligibility information available upon request. Apply at jobpostingtoday.com, reference number 31863. Again, Invenergy LLC seeks an electrical engineering manager, operations engineering multiple positions in Chicago, Illinois.
Listen closely. If your retirement funds include an IRA or 401k, this matters right now. The stock market is at an all-time high. The dollar is under pressure. Interest rates are heading down, and leading economists are warning that the global financial system is changing. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000 right now to get your free gold investment guide, valued at $49, plus your free copy of economist Ken Rogoff's book, Our Dollar, Your Problem. Investors across America are turning to gold and silver with Advantage Gold. Right now, silver is flashing a signal you can't ignore. Silver prices have been rising sharply, and history shows when silver moves, it can move fast. Learn more before this window closes. Call 800-900-8000 right now to get your free precious metals rollover kit. Find out about a tax and penalty-free rollover in 2026. Gold and silver can surge when the economy shifts, and they don't wait for permission. Consult your financial advisor before investing. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000.
Mike Lindell has a passion to help people get the best sleep of their life. He started by creating the best pillow ever, and right now he is passing the best prices to you when you use promo code LIBERTY. They want to thank you for your continued support by passing on some Christmas specials to our listeners. Get wholesale pricing on the classic My Pillows for $17.98. Transform any mattress with a My Mattress topper and save up to $100. Get a set of Giza sheets for as low as $29.98 or the 6-pack towel set for only $39.98. To get the best specials ever, go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. These offers won't last long, so call 800-489-0201 or go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY. Rest easy remembering that MyPillow products come with a 10-year warranty. Call today, 800-489-0201, promo code LIBERTY.
Hello, this is Alistair Begg. In September of 2026, I'll be teaching the Bible as we cruise through the Norwegian fjords. I'd love for you to join me. Call 855-565-5519 or visit deeperfaithcruise.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up at 8:08, we'll talk to Brian Lonergan, Director of Strategic Communications and Content at FAIR, Federation for American Immigration Reform. Took a little bit about the Alien Enemies Act as well as the Insurrection Act. A couple of acts. Brian Lonergan at 8:08. It's now 8 o'clock. AM 560 WIND Chicago.
We've come a long way. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
I didn't come to Minnesota for photo ops or headlines. You haven't seen me. I came here to seek solutions.
Trump border czar Tom Homan, now in charge of ICE operations in Minnesota, saying he had good talks with Democrats who want ICE out.
One thing we all agreed on was U.S. Immigration Customs Enforcement is a legitimate law enforcement agency.
And Homan says their operations will continue, targeting those here illegally who are criminals and threats. And while he supports the right to protest against ICE,
threatening law enforcement officers, engaging in impeding and obstruction and assault is never okay.
Governor Tim Walz is among those calling for ICE to leave, but he's not running for governor anymore. Another Democrat, Senator Amy Klobuchar, is, and Fox's Ryan Schmelz reports.
In a video announcing her plans, Klobuchar touches on the assassination of former State House Speaker Melissa Horton and the deaths of Renee Good and Alex Preddy, saying the state has been through a lot. She also criticizes the Trump administration.
3,000 ICE agents on our streets and in our towns
sent by an administration that relishes division.
Now, the ICE controversy in Minnesota could lead to another partial government shutdown ahead of tomorrow's deadline. Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer says they won't pass a funding bill that includes money for Homeland Security unless agents take off the masks and turn on the body cams.
There needs to be a uniform code of conduct and accountability.
We'll hear from President Trump at a cabinet meeting in a few hours. This morning, he posted again on Truth Social about the 2020 election the president claims was crooked. The day after the FBI carried out a raid in Georgia, taking ballots and voting records in Fulton County.
President Trump has always said that election was rigged against him in Georgia. And Georgia Senate Democrat John Ossoff says in a statement, "I suspect today's raid is a continuation of this sore loser's crusade, despite repeated audits and independent reviews confirming that Donald Trump was indeed defeated." State Senate Democrat Josh McLaurin was there and calls the search extremely alarming.
That's Chris Foster. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It is 5 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. One person has died and another injured following two separate fires last night. A 75-year-old woman died following a house fire in the 7000 block of South Bell. Officials say the woman was found inside the burning home with severe injuries. She was transported to a local hospital where she passed away. The second fire, just a couple miles away, was in the Chicago Lawn neighborhood. Officials say that fire spread to 3 other homes. A 39-year-old woman was injured in that fire. She was transported to the University of Chicago Medical Center, where she's listed in serious condition. Officials are investigating those blazes. The man accused of stabbing a pregnant mother to death in Downers Grove is expected to appear in court today. Fox 32 Chicago's Leslie Marino reports.
Family is remembering 30-year-old Eliza Morales, a mother, wife, and daughter. According to court documents, 19-year-old Nettis Ravukas is behind bars after allegedly stabbing Eliza 70 times, then setting her home on fire. Eliza was 5 months pregnant. Prosecutors say Eliza and Ravukas met on Facebook Marketplace and eventually met in person to finalize a truck sale. Ravukas initially denied involvement, then confessed to the killing, claiming he was angry about the condition of the truck.
The suspect also reportedly stabbed the victim's dog, which was able to escape. Arlington police are investigating a report of vandalism at the Republicans of Wheeling Township headquarters. Video images show 2 alleged offenders outside the GOP offices on Sunday night with graffiti scrawled on windows. The images also showed profanities written over a poster of late Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk, who was born in Arlington Heights and attended Wheeling High School. This report is a service of the AM 560 Advantage. Membership has its privileges, including early access to event tickets, exclusive contest opportunities, and special members-only content. Join today at 560theanswer.com/join. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes, but time now for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank.
I'm Charles Payne, and this is the Fox Business Report.
It's one of the busiest days of the fourth quarter earnings season, and reports include tech giant Apple, which reports after the closing bell. The iPhone maker is expected to say earnings per share jumped 11% to $2.67, with revenue also rising 11% to $138.48 billion. Beyond devices, there's a big focus on Apple's high-margin services segment, which continues to deliver double-digit growth and expanding profitability. Analysts will also be listening closely to the earnings call for clear signals on Apple's AI roadmap. Oil futures jumping, hitting a 4-month high on rising concerns about a possible U.S. military attack on Iran, which is OPEC's 4th largest producer, with output of 3.2 million barrels a day. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Lillian Wu, invested in you.
Scott Jennings sees a simple solution.
If you want federal forces reduced in Minnesota, reduced in Minneapolis, it's very simple. Cooperation in the city and county jails is all that's required. That's all that has ever been required. The federal government has been begging for months.
The Scott Jennings Show. Weekdays at noon, right before Hugh Hewitt at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
40,000 people. That's enough to pack Wrigley Field. I'm talking about 40,000 people who realized hip and knee surgery wasn't their only option. There has to be another way. Guess what? There is. They found it at QC Kinetics, an alternative to surgery. I know this because I've met these patients. They are moving better and hurting less thanks to QC Kinetics' advanced regenerative treatments. Surgery isn't always the answer. Do your research and talk with my friends at QC Kinetics. They offer natural treatments backed by real science. They will activate your body's natural healing power. Safe, natural, non-surgical. Osteoarthritis only gets worse, so don't wait. Get started this month. 40,000 people can't be wrong. Before you choose surgery, talk with QC Kinetics and tell them Dan Prof sent you. That's me. Call today, 312-827-6261. That's 312-827-6261. Once more, call QC Kinetics, 312-827-6261.
The following is presented by Retirement Income Strategies Pro. Attention Illinois annuity owners. If you're concerned about protecting your personal savings against the likelihood of a future long-term care claim, your current annuity may hold the key. You see, the Pension Protection Act, or PPA for short, now allows annuity owners to upgrade their old annuity for the new PPA-compliant annuity and receive tremendous tax benefits when used for qualifying long-term care expenses. You could save thousands of dollars if you have a future claim. Plus, receive up to 3 times your current annuity value instantly for long-term care. Give your old annuity new life and purpose. For more information and a free copy of Making the Pension Protection Act Work for You, call Mark Kohler at 844-619-7233. Call now. Find out how you can save thousands and get up to 3 times your current annuity value instantly for long-term care. Call Mark Kohler, 844-619-SAFE.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. Hitting those brakes northbound on Lakeshore Drive between Bryn Mawr Avenue and Hollywood Avenue, and it's 53 minutes inbound on the Stevenson from Veterans Memorial to Lakeshore. Outbound is 29. It's also 29 minutes inbound on the Dan Ryan from 95th to the Burn Interchange. Outbound is 12, and the Bishop Ford is stop and go inbound between 103rd Street and the Dan Ryan. You've got delays on the Tri-State northbound between Cermak Road and the Eisenhower. 41 minutes inbound on the Eisenhower from Wolf to the old post office, 27 minutes on the reverse side. The Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Burn Interchange is 31 minutes. Outbound is 17. The express lanes, you're jammed now from Montrose to Ohio Street. And the Edens is 18 minutes inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose. Outbound is 23. This report is the service of the AM 560 mobile app. Listen to AM 560 on your smartphone or mobile device when you download the AM 560 mobile app at 560theanswer.com/mobile. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now the latest forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be bitterly cold with a mix of clouds and sun, reaching a high of 17. Tonight remains bitterly cold with clouds increasing and a chance of a snow shower by dawn with a low of 4. Tomorrow, expect a mix of sun and clouds with a few snow showers, especially in heavier lake effect snow bands. It'll be frigid with a high of 19. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Destination Retirement with Robert Kuhn. Tune in Sunday mornings from 11 to 12 for Destination Retirement with Robert Kuhn, sponsored by Kuhn Capital Partners in Oak Brook.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. I was struck by something you heard Tom Homan say in the news at the top of the hour. That meetings he's had with officials on the ground in Minnesota have been constructive. That's fine. And there's agreement that ICE, CBP, DHS, legitimate law enforcement agencies. Well, that may be something they say to Tom Homan's face. That may be something they say before the cameras. That may be something they say in order to come across as reasonable and willing to make compromises. But what is the evidence to support that claim? All the evidence runs contrary. It's very much like when JB or one of these other sanctuary state governors or the raft of sanctuary city mayors say, well, of course we want you to remove violent criminals in this country illegally who pose a public safety threat. Of course we do. Really? Well, you want ICE out of your cities and states, so who's going to do it? You want ICE out of your cities and states. You say you're not going to support or you're not going to enforce federal immigration law, as Mayor Fry said after his call with Trump, and that's what he said. I told Trump, I'm not going to enforce federal immigration law. Okay, so you're not going to enforce federal immigration law. You're not going to collaborate with those who do, and you want them out of your city and state, but you support the removal of this cadre of people here illegally. No, you don't. Because the positions you take make that impossible. Follow the logic, please. Not to mention, follow what they actually say when they're speaking to their constituencies. Like Pramila Jayapal, that putty-faced Marxist from Washington State, who's the former band manager of the Socialist Spice Girls in the House.
We really need to, as soon as we get the gavels back, we have to dismantle DHS and ICE and CBP. And we have to reconstruct them to what they really should be doing. Remember, don't let people tell you that these are agencies that have always existed and they need to exist. They didn't exist before 9/11.
So, I mean, what was that consensus about them being legitimate law enforcement agencies again? That's just posturing from the left. They say that at the same time they run around comparing ICE or CBP, indistinguishable, at least in their minds, as you just heard from Jayapal, DHS in its entirety. They compare them to, well, they don't compare them, they say Gestapo, slave patrols, Nazis, murdering people, lawless. No, but they're a legitimate law enforcement agency, Tom. We agree. No, you don't. You don't. Come on. More on the topic. Pleased to be joined by Brian Longerin, Director of Strategic Communications and Content at the Federation for American Immigration Reform, FAIR. Also co-host of the podcast No Border, No Country. Where have I heard that before? Brian, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hi, Dan. Thanks for being here.
So, there's common ground that can be forged, and I'm sure Tom Homan is not fooled, and he's going to watch what they do, not listen to what they say. But they have been nothing but emboldened over the last couple of weeks, I would say, as they have decreed Renee Good and Alex Prady martyrs, emboldened to dig into their positions of sanctuary, open borders, abolish ICE, haven't they?
They have, and to your point earlier, if they really are sincere about wanting to get rid of the criminal alien element there, they would drop the sanctuary policies. They would allow their sheriffs to participate in 287G agreements, which would allow these criminals to be apprehended into ICE custody in jails, which is a far safer environment. But they don't do that, and then they complain when ICE is there to clean up the mess that they created from their sanctuary policies. So talking now about wanting to remove criminals, it's a fig leaf, but they don't mean it.
The president had raised the prospect that the Insurrection Act, he could invoke the Insurrection Act. He might invoke the Insurrection Act. That was before the Prady shooting, and now he sort of de-escalated, at least rhetorically, a bit of a leadership change on the ground in Minneapolis, of course. And there's less talk of that. But that still is something that is available to him, and we're not just talking about with respect to Minneapolis. And I wonder what you think about that still being something he should be considering.
Well, it should absolutely be on the table, because I have not heard Tim Walz or Jacob Fry say anything to these agitators on the street to stand down, to go back to their homes, to not obstruct ICE. They're not doing that. So, in fact, they're doing the opposite. They're encouraging them, making them out to be heroes. So until they do that, the president should absolutely have that on the table, because that rhetoric has created an incredibly unsafe and deadly environment there.
What the other scuttlebutt is that Tom Homan had within the administration argued for some time for more strategic approach to enforcement. Essentially, work off that list of 435,000 Class X felons or people charged with Class X felonies in this country illegally that were identified from Representative Anthony Gonzalez correspondence with Biden's ICE office back in the day. Let's drill down on those people, for example, and and worry less about who you might come in contact with that's also in this country illegally if they're not on the list. That seems like a difficult line to walk if you're an ICE agent on the street. But is that something that do you think will be Homan's approach in Minneapolis and elsewhere throughout the enforcement operations across the country? And should it be?
Well, I think Tom Homan was entirely correct when he came into this position now that the first priority is to get the criminal element out of these communities, because as we've seen from many innocent victims that have lost their lives, these criminal aliens are a direct threat to the safety of the public. But beyond that, the question is people here who are just in violation of our immigration laws, if we're going to look the other way on that, what other laws are we just going to look the other way on? We pass these laws for a reason. You cannot have a functioning society when we don't know where people are from, we don't know what their backgrounds are, they're living in these shadows, and people voted last November to fix this situation. But now that it's getting a little tight, people in the media and other people are, that doesn't look good. Well, this is the law. They're enforcing the law. They're not making it up as they go along. Congress passed these laws. Are we going to enforce them or are we not going to enforce them? And if we're not going to enforce them, as I said, what other laws can we just look the other way on?
Well, right. And what's a nonviolent offender? I mean, is it somebody that just steals Medicaid money with a phony home health care business? I mean, is that somebody that doesn't get deported or that gets deprioritized even if you happen upon them or you happen upon them as part of a ring of benefits fraud like we see in Minnesota and elsewhere? That's what I say. I think it's very difficult, but I think some people have been, cowed by the tack that the D.C. press corps has taken, where we're supposed to obsess about the percentage of people who've been apprehended by ICE who have a violent criminal history versus the percentage that don't. Why should I care? I don't care. If you're here illegally, you're here illegally. And if it's 25%, if it's 5%, you're still talking about a big number of people that are predators, that are violent criminals here illegally. So I'll take everybody that I can get in that bucket, but everybody I can get in the other bucket too, because as you say, the law is the law or it isn't. Or you can rightly have U.S. citizens saying, which is the one law I get to ignore as long as I'm nonviolent and ignoring it.
Right. And you mentioned the fraud in Minnesota. It goes even beyond that. Most people who are here illegally have committed identity fraud. They are draining our health care resources. They're draining our education resources. Our organization, FAIR, did a study not long ago that said illegal immigration costs $150 billion a year. That's not small money. That money can be used for Americans and for needed programs beyond this problem. So to say, well, it's a victimless crime, why do you care? It puts in a tremendous strain on our country.
And at the same time, they're jawboning the affordability issue, right? they're transferring, they're allowing for essentially a wealth transfer from American citizens to non-citizens while they decry the Trump administration's lack of addressing the affordability issues that many American families are feeling.
Yeah, a lot of the problems we have in society, shortage of money in cities. I know Chicago has had a problem with on the verge of insolvency almost. These are directly connected to these sanctuary policies. They're not the only reason, but they're a big reason.
Right, and so going forward, where do you think the Trump is when it comes to the nature of these operations? I mean, especially when, all of these apocryphal stories, the 5-year-old, the bananas and rice woman supposedly traumatized by ICE. Now we see video of that. She was lying, another hoax. I mean, I assume that Trump started understanding this was going to be complicated and messy, but he's on a clock and he's got to advance this flag as far as he can, as fast as he can, because he's on that clock.
Yeah, well, the president has been very adept throughout his 2 terms at reading the mood of the public, reading his base. He wants to stick with the promises he made, and he's done a very good job on that. But he's also mindful of how things look and how they're perceived. So I think he's flexible enough that he's going to try to keep his promises that he made, that he's been keeping, and also be flexible enough that he can change on the fly and not to the point where he's going to lose his base. So I would bank on him reading that well and making the moves in such a way that he's going to thread that needle.
What's your assessment of Kristi Noem and to a lesser extent Gregory Bavino, and whether or not it would behoove the president to roll a few heads?
Well, the media is calling for that, and these Democrats are calling for that, but it's kind of an unwritten rule in Washington. You don't just concede to the mob, in a sense. I would be shocked if the president made a change, because anyone he puts in there in place is probably going to do the exact same things. So, and it will look like a surrender in a way. I don't think he wants to do that either. So I would not be surprised at all if Kristi Noem stays right where she is.
Brian Lonergan is the Director of Strategic Communications and Content for FAIR, Federation for American Immigration Reform. Also co-host of the podcast No Border, No Country. Brian, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Dan.
And he joined us on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper, hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Let me share Brian's story. He's in Alabama, and he wrote in, he said, Glenn, after taking Relief Factor for just 3 weeks, at least 90% of my pain is gone. My pain had started to limit me at work and at home, and I am amazed at the relief that I have gotten. Those are Brian's own words, and they speak volumes about what Relief Factor can do. And I've seen that kind of transformation in myself, and hearing Brian's experience reinforces why I take endorsing Relief Factor so seriously. Before I started taking Relief Factor myself, I was losing hope that I could ever have a normal life again. My hands were in so much pain. It's created by doctors, a 100% drug-free product using 4 key ingredients. It supports the body's natural inflammatory response. Hundreds of thousands of people have ordered Relief Factor, and like Brian and me, over 2/3 of these people go on to order more month after month. So don't wait. If you're dealing with pain, launch your 3-week quick start and see what Relief Factor can do for you. Call 800-4RELIEF or go to relieffactor.com. Don't wait anymore. Feel what it's like to be out of pain. 1-800-4-RELIEF.
Are you confident your IT systems are rock solid? There could be cracks you don't see. Don't leave your technology to chance. Take the Access One $10,000 challenge to find out. For more than 30 years, Access One has helped businesses strengthen their security, protect their data, and improve resistance to cyber vulnerabilities, all with reliable U.S.-based support. And here's their promise. If their experts can't identify at least one measurable improvement to your IT systems and processes based on NIST or CIS regulations, they will reward your compliance excellence with $10,000. This free confidential risk assessment is available to businesses with 25 to 500 employees, and it's a great way for you to verify your IT is secure and efficient. No gimmicks, just proven results from an experienced IT partner. Ready to put Access One to the test? Why not? $10,000 on the line. Visit accessoneinc.com/challenge or call 800-654-1555 to schedule your risk assessment today. Again, accessoneinc.com/challenge or 800-654-1555. Certain conditions apply. See details online.
At Signature Bank, going the distance for business banking customers is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, a plan for growth, and don't have time to wait for a bank to respond. With Signature Bank, you not only have a banking partner that has roots right here in Chicago, but our decisions are made locally too. Signature Bank knows that when you have a question or problem about your business, you want answers. You need someone who will pick up the phone or respond to your text. You need someone who is always there for you. That's Signature Bank. We are a team that wants to get to know you and your business. Want to be Signature Bank's next success story? Give us a call today at 773-467-5630 or visit us online at signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
I can't believe how much better Dad's doing since we brought on Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest.
I know. He's more engaged, more himself.
It makes such a difference having him right here at home. Around the photos, his old record player, his favorite recliner, all the little things he knows. That familiarity really matters with dementia.
And their caregivers, they're just incredible. They treat him with so much patience and respect.
Plus, they helped us tap into a Medicare program that offers 80 hours of respite care for Alzheimer's and dementia.
We're not worried anymore, and Dad gets to stay where he's happiest, at home.
Trust the caregivers at Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest, serving Cook, DuPage, Kane, Kendall, and Will counties. You can call them 24/7 at 331-281-0728. Again, that's 331-281-0728. And tell them AM 560 sent you. Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. Senior care, only better.
AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Propp here. We'd be remiss if we did not allow for some time for Hollywood celebrities to opine on these most important issues facing America, like the enforcement of federal immigration law. We brought you some important voices. I think we're at the tipping point when you have John Stamos weigh in. Jesse from Full House. You know, he uses the cultural power he has judiciously, but he felt compelled to weigh in after the shooting death of Alex Preddy. And he has inspired others to exhibit similar political courage. Take the professional risk to decry the Trump administration. I'm sad to see this one. I mean, he was so good in Breaking Bad. Gus. I mean, come on. Los Pollos Hermanos. And, I mean, I guess, you know, if he's running part of this Los Pollos Hermanos, maybe it's a little bit too much part of his character now. But Giancarlo Esposito, you know him as Gus, the proprietor of Los Pollos Hermanos from Breaking Bad, among other roles. He's a pretty accomplished character actor, I must say. But now it's time for revolution.
This is time for a revolution. It's time for it, and they don't even know that's what they're starting. You know, some very rich old white men are exerting their power to suppress our own people, thus creating a feeling of civil war in the streets, preparing the haters to hate, teaching them how to shoot. They're not even trained right, to kill. This is all a preparation for a very insidious problem that's happening in our world. And for me, I have to speak out that we will not be iced out. This is not going to happen. They can't take us all down. If the whole world showed up on Putin's doorstep or on the Iranians' doorstep or in Washington, it would they'll kill 550 million, however.
50 million?
The rest of us would survive with a new... This is time for a revolution. It's time for it, and they don't even know that's what they're starting. But we have to be strong enough to know that we can change the world. We have to change it from within. So if I'm spiritually ready and right, you know, and I'm ready to understand other people and to agree to disagree with them and say, okay, let's find the solution together, then that starts to change things. Not by deporting immigrants, not by killing brown and even white people on the street. It's crossing over now, and believe me, this is gonna really spark the nature of so many people who are gonna show up and say, no more. I'm mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take it anymore.
Uh-huh. Yeah, okay. Okay, Howard Beale.
I'm mad as hell, but I'm not going to take this anymore.
Yeah, not exactly your network moment there, Gus. I mean, nothing like a revolutionary donning Tom Ford glasses and a cravat talking about sacrificing 550 million. What's the difference on the pyre of revolution? Okay. Okay, Gus. Take it easy. Meanwhile, while Gus is fomenting revolution at some Hollywood gala, the red carpet, Eva Longoria is back home, desperate, desperate for a government shutdown. See what I did there?
Hey guys, it's Eva here. I know we're going through a really tough time right now as a country, and I know my community especially has been facing a lot, injustice and fear and moments of hopelessness, and everything that's happening in Minneapolis is so destabilizing. It's horrible. The murder of Alex Preddy, horrible. The murder of Renee Good, horrible. But there was also so many people before them. Keith Porter, Parity Law, Hervé Sanchez Dominguez, Victor Manuel Diaz, Luis Beltran, Luis Gustavo Nunez, Geraldo Lunas Campos. There's so many. And those are the ones that were filmed. They're blatantly murdering U.S. citizens, detaining 5-year-olds like Liam Ramos, patrolling schools and churches. So imagine what they're doing behind closed doors at detention centers with no cameras around, nobody there to have proof of what they're doing. There's so many reports saying they're denying people medical assistance. We know this. Disappearing people from detention databases. So many families have reported their loved ones missing after being detained by ICE. So much horrible things are going on, and they're trying to convince people that they're more powerful than they are and that they're scarier than they are. They're dangerous, don't get me wrong, but this is the moment that we need to keep standing together. God bless everybody who's been out there protesting. I want you to know there are things you can do. Every state has 2 senators. These next 48 hours are crucial to demanding them to vote no on DHS funding. If we head into a government shutdown, we have to encourage them to hold the line until the demands are met, and we need ICE out. And we got to remember, these hard times don't break us. They remind us who we're meant to be. I'm going to leave more info in the next slides for you guys to reference, a script, how, what to say when you call your senators. But I'm just sending you so much love and light. To everybody out there, thank you. To my community, we're with you.
There she is, Eva Longoria, the spokeswoman for Desperate Housewives from Wisteria Lane to Green Bay Road on the North Shore. Oh, that's good stuff. Isn't it fun to hear from Hollywood? Coming up from on 8:38, it's always fun to hear from Susan Crabtree, RealClearPolitics.com, investigative reporter, White House correspondent. She joins us at 8:38. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It is 6 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. 2 women escaped serious injury after being grazed by gunfire on Wednesday. Police say a 71-year-old woman received a wound to her neck, while a 39-year-old woman received an injury to her leg. That incident happened in the 9300 block of South Saginaw in the Calumet Heights area. The 71-year-old was transported to the hospital for treatment, while the 39-year-old declined treatment. Democratic and Republican lawmakers clashed this week after a West Chicago teacher was placed on administrative leave over a social media post that was interpreted as supporting immigration and customs enforcement. Democrats called that message harmful, while Republicans warned against targeting federal law enforcement. Superintendent Christina Davis says the teacher initially resigned but later withdrew the resignation. Following a meeting with the administration, the employee has been placed on administrative leave and is barred from district property pending the investigation. This report is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Big savings on full mouth dental implants are here at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Medical insurance can make what used to cost a fortune surprisingly affordable. Don't wait. Take the 60-second quiz to see if you qualify at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
On February 24th, President Trump will deliver his State of the Union address to Congress.
Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States.
And AM 560 The Answer is throwing a viewing party, and you're invited to join us for dinner at the Meridian Banquet and Conference Center in Rolling Meadows. Enjoy dinner before the speech, and then watch the speech with AM 560's Dan Proft, Sean Thompson, Jeannie Ives, Amy Jacobson, and John Anthony. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/party. Sponsored in part by Edward Jones agent Nolan Webster.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Stay tuned for a special message from Angel Dad Joe Abraham about his daughter Katie.
Put yourself in my shoes. I just spent my first Christmas without Katie. My daughter was murdered by an illegal immigrant Governor Pritzker protected. Imagine her final breaths, knowing that you would have given your life for hers, but you didn't have the chance. Put your child in Katie's shoes. Think of the unfulfilled dreams, the unrealized joys, and the permanent loss. I'm not a political guy, but when politicians unleash violent criminals, we all need to get involved. We can do better, and we must do better. Ted Dabrowski would have protected Katie, and he'll protect your children the way I wish someone had protected mine.
I'm Ted Dabrowski, and I approve this message.
Golfers, the Tinley Park Golf Show is coming January 30th through February 1st to the Tinley Park Convention Center. This isn't just another expo. It's 3 days packed with everything you need to elevate your game. Meet vendors from the industry's biggest names: Callaway, TaylorMade, Cobra, Mizuno, and more. Get professionally fitted for clubs, check out the latest equipment, and take advantage of exclusive deals you won't find anywhere else. But that's not all. Compete in our skills challenges. Guess your best drive and longest putt. Winners receive cash prizes of $1,000. Watch the Pebble Beach Pro-Am while enjoying drinks at our famous 19th Hole Bar and Lounge. And don't miss our interactive driving range demo. In celebration of the 250th anniversary of our nation's independence, all veterans and active duty military will be granted complimentary admission to this year's show. Tickets start at just $10 on Friday, $15 for Saturday and Sunday, and can be purchased at Eventbrite or TinleyParkConventionCenter.net. The Tinley Park Golf Show. Great golf, great deals. January 30th through February 1st.
This hourly segment is brought to you by In the Know with Craig Bolanos, powered by VestGen Wealth Partners, Sunday morning at 10 on AM 560 The Answer.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hawkpark Traffic Center, I'm Sue Eller. Somebody broke down. It's on the Jane Addams eastbound at the River Road Toll Plaza, and it takes out the left lane and then completely jammed northbound on Lakeshore Drive between Bryn Mawr Avenue and Hollywood Avenue. 53 minutes inbound on the Stevenson from Veterans Memorial to Lakeshore. Outbound is 27. 32 minutes inbound on the Dan Ryan from 95th to the Byrne Interchange. Outbound is 12. The Eisenhower inbound is 49 minutes from Wolf to the Old Post Office. Outbound is 27. The Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange, 37 minutes. Outbound is 12. The express lanes stop and go from Montrose to Ohio Street, and 15 minutes inbound on the Edens from Lake Cook to Montrose. Outbound is 25. This report is a service of King's Hawaiian Sliders. Eli Manning reminds you there's nothing like football and King's Hawaiian Sliders. There's something about those soft, fluffy, irresistible King's Hawaiian Sliders that make them a winner on game day. Pick them up this weekend in the bakery or deli section of your grocery store. King's Hawaiian, there's nothing like it. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now the latest forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be bitterly cold with a mix of clouds and sun, reaching a high of 17. Tonight remains bitterly cold with clouds on the rise, possibly leading to a snow shower by dawn with a low of 4. Tomorrow, expect intervals of clouds and sun with a few snow showers, especially in heavier lake effect snow bands, as temperatures stay frigid with a high of 19. I'm meteorologist Jason Catarina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, and I know our next guest would love what Scott Bessent had to offer over last week in Davos, the torching of Gavin Newsom as he did. Do we have Scott Bessent live from Davos on Gavin Newsom with a series of one-liners? He's got a good team of writers, or he's got a particularly rapier wit that I was surprised. First, Bessent yesterday, too, just on the substance of it, before we get to Scott Bessent, stand-up comedian. Bessent yesterday made the point at the Trump accounts meeting. I thought that was really interesting. This is an underreported story because it's so positive for future generations. Talking about affordability, how about thinking this far ahead?
The compound growth from Treasury's initial seed funding alone stands to make young Americans wealthy. Assuming historical growth rates continue, a single $1,000 deposit into a Trump account at birth should grow to an estimated amount of at least $500,000 by the age of retirement. The $1,000 seed from Treasury is exclusive to newborns. But keep in mind that any American below the age of 18 is also eligible to receive a tax-advantaged Trump account to begin saving for the future. Philanthropists, family, friends, employers, and states can backfill.
It's a pretty good deal, and you can see why Michael Dell was persuaded to throw $6 billion at it. But anyway, for Susan Crabtree's enjoyment, as well as my own, Scott Bessent from Davos, let's not forget.
I think Gavin Newsom may be cracking up with some of these things he's saying. I think he may be in over his hairdo. And being on the national stage is very different than being governor of California with no signature achievements. But to say strange things like President Trump is a Tyrannosaurus Rex, what the hell does that mean? I could say Gavin Newsom is a brontosaurus with a brain the size of a walnut. And if he brought the knee pads, maybe that was for his meeting with Alex Soros. I don't know.
Hi-oh, zing!
And boom goes the dynamite.
Susan Crabtree, Real Clear Politics national political correspondent, regular contributor for the California Post, do tell, she will, and co-author of Fool's Gold, The Radicals, Con Artists, and Traitors Who Killed the California Dream and Now Threaten Us All. Susan, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
My pleasure, Dan, as always.
Scott Bessent bringing out his best material on Newsom, huh?
I just couldn't believe it. I was just dying laughing. The guy has the best epithets. I mean, it's just so colorful. And if he did the writing, I'm sure he contributed because he does have a rapier wit. The Sparkle Beach Ken.
Sparkle Beach Ken meets Patrick Bateman was good. I like that. Yeah.
I mean, the Patrick Bateman, if you look up Patrick Bateman, I want your viewers to go look this up. The likeness is uncanny. And we all know.
I mean, I don't want to brag, but I've been calling Gavin Newsom Patrick Bateman for many, many moons. I mean, immediately it came to mind when he came on the scene. But I mean, I will defer because he added the Sparkle Beach Ken, which was a nice touch. Yeah, very nice touch. Before we get into more substantive matters, the California Post, do tell.
Yes. So California Post is on the scene here, and it's already changing. I mean, it was like a big, pardon the expression, earthquake to the California media. I've seen, LA Times already up their game with their headlines. I think they had a headline today that said Newsom is now dancing over the fire damage and the fire recovery. They would never have had that headline before the California Post. So it was a really bad week for Gavin Newsom, really bad. He had the insurance companies yesterday join a lawsuit with the fire victims against the state, and they had waited, but they saw evidence, a reason to believe there's changes in the air in California, and they jumped on board. Bad news for Gavin Newsom. And then he, earlier this week in the California Post, with an exclusive interview with Donald Trump, Donald Trump announced that he was taking over the permitting process in California and LA because it's been slow as molasses. And then yesterday Trump added that he was going to give the victims a 10% bonus so they can build a 10% bigger house. It's just, Gavin Newsom is just crying in his beer right now, or his wine.
Yes, right. He had to abdicate to the French Laundry to recover, I'm sure. Right, go to his happy place, right? So I mean, but on a serious note, just where is, I know we update this periodically, but where is the reconstruction of Pacific Palisades? I mean, you described it as going, at the speed of molasses, so that's sort of an indication, but can you give us any general handle on that?
Yes, there are 35,000 victims. 35,000 buildings were destroyed, completely leveled. And there's only about 1,600 permits that have been approved. About 900 homes are in reconstruction, and less than 10 have been rebuilt. So that's where we are. And
10
that's
rebuilt
why,
out of 35,000. Wow.
Less than 10. I mean,
Less than 10.
it's Karen Bass, the LA mayor, came out and she showed a model home. Look at this home. It's been reconstructed. It doesn't even have any utilities in it. It was a fake home she was providing. So, this California, they are going to get a reckoning with this California Post. I'm a contributor. I love my Real Clear Politics, so I want to stay at Real Clear Politics, but I could not resist contributing to the California Post because it's just, I have a great relationship already with the New York Post, with Miranda Devine. She endorsed my book, Fool's Gold, The Destruction of California. It chronicles all the absurdity out here that's going on. But Gavin Newsom he didn't have much to say about this takeover process. I know they're going to fight it in the courts. We all know that. But how awkward to fight something that's going to help fire victims in the courts.
Yeah. I want to, on another note, since there are, all sorts of burning oil derricks in California, except actual oil derricks, but the fraud there, the benefits fraud. Oh, yeah. And I saw, Dr. Oz has been moving about the country where the fraud is particularly large and trying to get, arms around it. And the initial estimate was, maybe $4 billion worth of fraud with respect to benefits programs in California. But I just wonder where that is, if there's a sense that the feds are really digging in there the way that they have apparently begun digging in Minnesota. What's your handle on that?
Oh, yeah. No. $4 billion is chump change.
Yeah.
What we have out here in California, there is some estimate. Steve Hilton, who's running for governor, as you know, $250 billion, okay? We start off with the COVID. Just after COVID, you had $40 billion in unemployment insurance fraud that the government is trying to pay back. The California government has to pay back the feds for that because that's federal money. And we were sending it to people in prison on death row. It was like, and people who had signed up as Mickey Mouse and Dianne Feinstein. The fraud out here is unfathomable, and it's because of the one-party system. I write about it in my book. I had Congressman Kevin Kiley, who has been aggressive in trying to get rid of this fraud, and that's why Newsom targeted him in the redrawing of the map. And his was the prime seat that they carved up into 6 different districts, and how he has to pick which district he wants to run in. But, yeah, it is. Okay, so we've got the unemployment fraud. Now we have Dr. Oz talked about the Medicare fraud, and a hospice fraud. He was talking yesterday. It was hilarious to me that this was, Dr. Oz said, a lot of this fraud in healthcare is because of the Armenian mobs in L.A. And that was too funny for me because we have a whole section in our book about the Armenian corruption in L.A. And then Gavin Newsom called him a racist for bringing it up because he's Turkish, and so there was a historical conflict to that. But it's not because he's a racist, because it's true. We chronicle it in our book. But we have so much fraud here in terms of the homelessness industrial complex. I write about that in a book, and I have a story coming out, hopefully in the California Post or Real Clear Politics. I wrote it last week. This fraud, you're not going to believe it. There was no verification for accounts, Bank of America accounts, that this group called Shangri-La firm, it was a construction group, got a just fraudulent $60 million in Bank of America accounts that they just faked. It was just completely non-existent, and they were applying and saying they had all this money to contribute to 7 projects where they were going to convert motels into homeless housing. And the guy instead, he pays $46,000 for a mansion in Beverly Hills every month. That was the rent. Buying his girlfriend diamond and gold watches, Birkin bags, a Bentley, a Ferrari. This is the kind of fraud that's going on in California. And Gavin Newsom had the gall to fight with Bill O'Reilly, the Trump-appointed U.S. attorney that's finally bringing some accountability, that it wasn't his fault, that he couldn't be blamed for this fraud. What's his signature homelessness program called Home Key? And he didn't get any verification system.
Right. I mean, it's the same thing we see going on in Minnesota, whereas, like, look, I had no idea this was going on. I'm glad people are being prosecuted. Not my fault. Systems in place, oversight, blah, blah, blah. And so you never seem to quite get to it. Now, the difference perhaps in Minnesota, and I'm curious if this is happening in California, because we've called for it in Illinois, too. Maybe not on the same scale, but certainly proportionally, I'm sure some of these same things are going on in Illinois. I mean, we had a $5 billion unemployment insurance scam just a few years removed from today as well. I mean, so of course it's the same operation of government. It's going to produce the same results in different places. But are you getting whistleblowers from inside the government? Are people, including the U.S. Attorney, getting roadmaps so you start to get to decision makers and go beyond the fraudsters themselves to perhaps the bureaucrats or politicians that they bought and paid for that enabled all of this graft?
Yeah, so hopefully my story is going to be coming out very soon. But I had added up all of the donations that this group, Shangri-La, terribly named now, I called it the Homeless Hell, Gavin Newsom Shangri-La scandal. They showered Gavin Newsom and local politicians with money. The LA County Democrats received $30,000 as they were applying for these grants. There's also, I'm looking into, it's been very difficult to peel back the onion on the homeless industrial complex because it's a one-party system, and the only people that seem to want to provide any accountability are the feds. Bill O'Reilly now, really great U.S. attorney out here, young, 40-something. He is finally bringing some accountability because they all are skimming off the tops. You know that that's the problem. And there are people like Tony Atkins, who was the top person in the legislature, whose wife, she's their lesbian wife, is in the homelessness industrial complex. That's what her business is. And there's been conflicts of interest cited for years. So we are looking into that. I know Bill O'Reilly, Trump's appointee in Los Angeles as the U.S. attorney, is peeling back this onion, but it's taking whistleblowers to come forward. I do have a couple whistleblowers talking to me about fraud, but I'm just hoping that it all comes out. We have a great conservative activist in California that I'm working with, Amy Reichert, who is pointing out the ghost daycares in San Diego County. She take a look at just public available information on a portal, and the inspectors showed up, and there's supposed to be 15 kids, and lo and behold, on the day the inspector showed up, there's no kids, but the person's family, like some of these were in apartments, housing. So you show up at the house, the apartment, and the only kids there belong to the family that's running the daycare.
I'm sure she just got them on the wrong day. I'm sure. A quick question for you before I let you go, too, since you're like the point person on oversight here of the Secret Service, and particularly in times that are increasingly violent, and political violence is still ever present, as we have been seeing on the streets of America. It seems worth checking in to see if you believe Secret Service has improved their game from the last time we checked in.
No, unfortunately, I just talked to a government official yesterday extensively about this, and there are people very deeply concerned high up in the Trump administration about Secret Service Director Sean Curran's inability to reform the agency. I'm told that there are people demanding within the Trump administration accountability for these problem child agents, the one that James O'Keefe recently exposed
Yes.
honeypot sting operation,
Yeah.
he will be fired. And that's one of the first people who, there was nobody fired over Butler. They got slaps on the wrist. In fact, people were promoted as we disclosed on the show. So, yeah, I hear that there's going to be a move to increase the accountability, which is like any increase would be, something that the Secret Service, new to the Secret Service, because they don't have that culture. They're afraid of their own agents and the lawsuits, whenever they try to discipline, the lawsuits get wrapped up for years, and they keep give them a paid vacation on administrative leave with our taxpayer dollars. So,
sigh.
There might be some change coming, but it's not because of Sean Curran. It's because of people demanding it within the administration.
Susan Crabtree, RealClearPolitics.com's national political correspondent, regular contributor for the California Post, and author of Fool's Gold, The Radicals, Con Artists, and Traitors Who Killed the California Dream and Now Threaten Us All. Fool's Gold is the book. Susan Crabtree, thank you as always.
It's my pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.
And she joined us on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
As the seasons change, so does the worry. The flu, cold, and COVID season is coming, making a lot of people feel anxious. But what if you don't have to feel that way? My name is Dr. Michael Huber, one of the developers of Virago, the liquid immune enhancement cocktail. Virago was formulated in a liquid to enhance absorption and provide a rapid response. Comprised of 23 natural ingredients chosen for their synergistic properties, it gives your immune system the boost it needs to fight whatever virus is out there. So with the Virago Boost, you can face the coming flu season feeling confident that you are protected. With Virago, you're not fighting the seasons, you're ready for them. Virago, power to defend. Maha starts with Virago.
Order your bottle of Virago online today. Visit myvirago.com. Use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. That's myvirago.com. Coupon code IMMUNE. Virago and Maha, making America healthy again.
There's nothing wrong with flying first class. Of course, everybody's got that cheapskate uncle that always says the back of the plane lands at the same time as the front of the plane. I guess there's some sort of cheapskate logic in that. However, the door is in the front of the plane, so why not get to first class? After all, they have dishes, silverware, glasses, warm towels. And if you want to sit at first class, or you aspire to, all you need is a little planning from Alpha Wealth Group. Their goal is to help maximize your income in retirement. Since you can't take it with you, there's no point in squandering your time. After all, the warm towels make the ride fun. Call Tom Fortino and Alpha Wealth Group for their complimentary roadmap to retirement, so you can take a first-class flight and not worry about the cost. Call 630-864-6711. That number again, 630-864-6711. 630-864-6711 or online at alphawealthgroup.com.
AM 560. The Answer.
All right, thank you for joining us on another installment of Chicago's Morning Answer. We'll close out the week tomorrow with hopefully a few more entertaining cultural references, maybe a few more ditties from celebrities or AI-enhanced new artists on the scene. But now it is 9 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
The border czar speaks out in Minnesota. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
This isn't good. But I think my conversations the last 2.5 days are leading us to a safer community.
Tom Homan, now in charge of immigration enforcement there, says he and Democrats don't agree on everything, but as ICE targets those here illegally committing crimes, the state attorney general told him
that county jails may notify ICE of the release dates of criminal public safety risks so ICE can take custody of them.
As for all the anti-ICE demonstrators, Homan called agitators who got even angry after Saturday's deadly shooting of a protester. Homan urged them to be peaceful and...
if you don't like what ICE is doing, instead of protesting this building, go to protest Congress. Tell me what changes.
We also just heard from Attorney General Pam Bondi that 16 people have been charged in Minnesota for either violently assaulting federal officers or damaging federal property in recent weeks. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry, who wants ICE to leave, has gone to Washington, D.C. for a meeting with other mayors, while a Democratic Senator, Amy Klobuchar, announces she's running for governor in Minnesota, speaking out in a video against
the killings of Renee Good, a mom of 3, and Alex Preddy, a nurse who took care of our veterans. 3,000 ICE agents on our streets and in our towns.
We'll hear more about immigration and other issues when President Trump holds a cabinet meeting next hour. Earlier on Truth Social, he reacted to the Federal Reserve not cutting interest rates yesterday. Again, critical of Fed Chairman Jerome Powell, writing he's hurting the country and national security. There's a local and federal hate crime investigation in New York City. The morning after a man drove a car into a synagogue last night, backing up, ramming it numerous times in Brooklyn. No one was hurt. He's in custody. Mayor Zoran Mamdani.
Any threat to a Jewish institution or place of worship must be taken seriously. Anti-Semitism has no place in our city, and violence or intimidation against Jewish New Yorkers is unacceptable.
America's listening to Fox News.
Weather forecast.
Today will be bitterly cold with a mix of clouds and sun, reaching a high of 17. Tonight remains bitterly cold with clouds increasing and a chance of a snow shower by dawn with a low of 4. Tomorrow, expect a mix of sun and clouds with a few snow showers, especially in heavier lake effect snow bands. It'll be frigid with a high of 19. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Alex Marlowe wants the country to stay productive.
The algorithm is what we need to fear because it is what controls our minds, what controls our brains, and it controls our time. How much time do I have left? I don't know how much it is, but I'll tell you one thing, I don't want to spend it on TikTok. So I hope President Trump comes up with some way to make the algorithm a little bit more productive. Got to keep an eye on this. We need to do better as a country and as a civilization.
The Alex Marlowe Show, weekdays at 11, right before Scott Jennings at noon on AM 560, The Answer.
Let me share Brian's story. He's in Alabama, and he wrote in, he said, Glenn, after taking Relief Factor for just 3 weeks, at least 90% of my pain is gone. My pain had started to limit me at work and at home, and I am amazed at the relief that I have gotten. Those are Brian's own words, and they speak volumes about what Relief Factor can do. And I've seen that kind of transformation in myself, and hearing Brian's experience reinforces why I take endorsing Relief Factor so seriously. Before I started taking Relief Factor myself, I was losing hope that I could ever have a normal life again. My hands were in so much pain. It's created by doctors, a 100% drug-free product using 4 key ingredients. It supports the body's natural inflammatory response. Hundreds of thousands of people have ordered Relief Factor, and like Brian and me, over 2/3 of these people go on to order more month after month. So don't wait. If you're dealing with pain, launch your 3-week quick start and see what Relief Factor can do for you. Call 800-4RELIEF or go to relieffactor.com. Don't wait anymore. Feel what it's like to be out of pain. 1-800-4-RELIEF.
With over 50 years of precision tooling, that's a lot of job shop work and custom parts. And it's why Bruscher Machining is the go-to CNC turning and machining company in Chicagoland. If you have a custom project, whether it's a single prototype or a short-run production of a few thousand pieces, give them a call today for your